The ship that sailed away from time. Have you ever lost track of time so completely that it felt like it just vanished? Imagine that feeling, but on a grand scale, involving something as massive as a ship. Sometimes, in the quiet, mysterious history of the oceans, there are stories that whisper of vessels that didn't just sink or get lost in storms. They simply seemed to sail away from time itself. One moment, they were there, a tangible part of the world, and the next, they were gone, as if the calendar and the clock had forgotten them. Then, perhaps years, even decades later, they reappear, sometimes empty, sometimes with their crew still on board, confused, not knowing what happened or how so much time had passed for everyone else. These aren't just old sea legends. There are accounts that make us wonder about time itself. For centuries, people have felt this pull, this strange sense that time isn't always a steady river. We've told stories of places where the hours stretch or shrink, where minutes become an eternity, or years vanish in a blink. Philosophers have long pondered, is time just a concept in our minds, a way for us to measure change, or is it a fundamental part of the universe, something real that can ripple and bend? Could these ships have somehow sailed into one of those ripples? Think about how your own mind handles time. When you're completely absorbed in something you love, maybe painting, or creating music, or building a complex world in a game, hours can feel like mere moments. But when you're bored, waiting for something, even a minute can drag on endlessly. Your personal experience of time warps. For these ships, it's almost as if the entire vessel, and everyone on it, experienced a massive, unexplained shift in reality's clock, pushing them outside the normal flow, perhaps even into a different moment in time. These strange occurrences invite us to consider how little we truly understand about the fabric of our reality. They remind us that time might be far more complex and mysterious than we imagine. Not just a straight line, but perhaps an intricate tapestry with hidden threads and unexpected turns. It makes us pause and reflect on the quiet, profound wonder of our own existence within this vast, unfolding mystery, asking what other secrets might lie just beyond our reach, in the silent currents of time. Lights in the sky that stay hidden. Have you ever seen something quickly, just for a second, then it was gone? A flash of light, or a strange shape that vanished. When you tried to look again, it wasn't there. This brief glimpse of something unexplainable is much like the mystery of lights in the sky that stay hidden. For centuries, people have looked up at the vast night sky, filled with wonder. They've told stories of strange lights, silent and swift, appearing out of nowhere and then simply fading away. These aren't always bright, obvious things. Sometimes they are soft glows, quick streaks, or faint blurs that vanish as soon as you point them out. The hardest part is that these moments are hard to prove. You see it, but no one else does, or a camera can't quite capture it. Think about how our minds work. We try to make sense of everything, right? If we see something we don't understand, our brain tries to find an explanation. People long ago might have seen a weird light and thought it was a god or a sign. Sailors lost at sea might have called faint lights ghost ships. These lights challenge us because they show up, leave questions, and disappear before science can study them. It's a bit like when you think you hear your name called, but then listen closely, and there's nothing, or when you catch a quick movement in your side vision, and when you turn, it's just the wind blowing a curtain. Your mind saw something, made it real for a moment, but it wasn't truly there in a way you could show anyone. So, these hidden lights make us think about more than what's out there. They make us think about how we see the world, and how much of reality depends on what we can grasp. They remind us that maybe the deepest mysteries aren't loud events, but quiet, fleeting moments that hint at something beyond our understanding. It's okay to not know everything. Sometimes, the not is where the real magic is. Footprints of a giant. Have you ever looked at your own footprint in sand or mud, and imagined who might find it long after you've gone? What story would it tell? Now, imagine finding a footprint so huge, so ancient, it makes you question everything you thought you knew about the past. Across the world, scientists and explorers have stumbled upon just such prints, massive indentations in rock, sometimes meters long. These aren't dinosaur tracks. These look like the footprints of a giant human, etched into stone millions of years ago. For centuries, stories have whispered of giants walking the earth. Many cultures, from Greek myths to Native American legends, talk about enormous beings who shaped the world. When these colossal footprints are discovered, it's like those ancient stories suddenly press their weight into the present. Here's the thing, mainstream science says humans, as we know them, haven't been around that long, and certainly not at a size that could leave such a mark. So, when a print, like the one in Mphaluzi, South Africa, dubbed God's footprint, a 1.2 meter long impression in granite, is found, dating back hundreds of millions of years, it really makes you wonder. A bit like finding a modern smartphone in an Egyptian pyramid. You'd ask, how did that get there? That doesn't fit the timeline. These giant footprints are similar. They don't fit our current understanding of human history or evolution. They sit there, silent and massive, forcing us to consider that maybe our maps of time are missing some major territories. That what if history isn't a straight line, but a winding path with hidden turns we haven't explored yet? These mysterious footprints remind us that the Earth holds secrets far older and stranger than we can easily grasp. They invite us to stay curious, to wonder softly about the vast, untold stories hidden just beneath the surface of our world, waiting to be rediscovered. Footprints that don't belong. Have you ever walked on a sandy beach, maybe after a fresh rain, and seen a clear footprint? You might wonder who made it. What if you saw a track that just didn't make sense? Imagine a human footprint pressed into ancient rock, right next to a dinosaur's track, millions of years old. This is the mystery of our tough place prints. Here's the thing. Scientists study layers of rock to understand Earth's history. Deeper layers are older. So, finding something modern in a very old layer, like a clear human shoe print alongside an ancient dinosaur's three-toed stride, is a big puzzle. It challenges everything we think we know about when humans first walked the Earth. For example, in the 1930s, in Texas, fossil hunters found dinosaur tracks. Right there, next to them, were impressions that looked just like human feet. It was puzzling, almost impossible. It's like finding a brand new smartphone in a buried pirate treasure chest from hundreds of years ago. You'd think, how did that get there? It doesn't fit the time period at all. Your mind tries to find a logical answer, but some puzzles don't give up their secrets easily. These ancient footprints are like quiet questions left in stone. They challenge our maps of time, making us wonder if history is more complex, more surprising than we've written it down. And that's why it matters. When we see something that doesn't fit, it doesn't mean our understanding is completely wrong. Instead, it invites us to be curious. It reminds us that the world still holds many hidden stories. It teaches us to keep looking, keep asking, and be open to the possibility that the past is much richer and stranger than we can imagine. It makes us feel the vastness of time and the endless wonders yet to uncover. The sound that no one hears. Have you ever felt a strange shiver, a quiet unease, but couldn't explain why? What if the world is full of whispers, even roars, that our ears simply aren't made to hear? It's a strange thought, but it's true. Our human ears are amazing, but they're also limited. They can only pick up sounds within a certain range of vibrations. Think of it like a radio dial. We can only tune into certain stations. Below our hearing, there's something called infrasound. These are super low frequency vibrations, sounds so deep they're more like a rumbling pressure than something you hear. Animals often use them. Elephants, for example, can communicate over many miles using It's like a secret language, passing through the ground and air, completely silent to us. But even if we don't hear it, sometimes we feel it. Some scientists think these unseen sounds might be why we get that uneasy feeling before a big storm, or why ancient people felt strange vibes from certain places. It's like the world is humming, and we're just catching a faint echo. Here's the thing. Our understanding of the world is shaped by what our senses tell us. For a long time, people thought the world was exactly as it appeared. But what if there's a whole universe of information flowing around us, just beyond our ability to sense it? Imagine you're in a room where a dog whistle is blowing. Your dog is going wild, barking and reacting, but you hear nothing. To you, the room is quiet, but for the dog, it's filled with a loud, piercing sound. This makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other truths, what other amazing things are constantly happening around us that we just can't perceive? It reminds us that our experience of reality, while real to us, might only be one tiny slice of something much, much bigger. And that's a beautiful, humbling thought, letting us know there's always more to discover, more to feel, even in the silence. Water that vanishes, but not how you think. Have you ever looked at a still pond and noticed it was smaller after a dry spell? That's normal. Water evaporates, or it soaks into the ground. But what if a whole lake, or even a river, just disappeared? Not because of drought or a dam breaking, just gone, like it was never there. Here's the thing. Sometimes, water seems to do just that. Not tiny puddles, but significant bodies of water, baffling scientists. Imagine a large reservoir, full one day, then strangely empty the next. No sign of where the water went. It's not about drops slowly floating into the air. It's about a vast emptiness where something vital used to be, leaving only dry, cracked earth and a profound mystery. Long ago, people often thought such events were the work of spirits or angry gods. How else could something so fundamental simply cease to exist? The ancients told tales of cursed springs that ran dry forever, or lakes swallowed by the earth's secret thirst. This wasn't science, but it was their way to make sense of a world that didn't always play by the rules they knew. It shows us our understanding of nature, even today, has limits. Think of it like this. Have you ever had a brilliant idea, a clear image in your mind, then a moment later, it's completely gone? You try to grasp it, but it just vanished, leaving an empty space where something rich and important just was. There's no logical reason for it to disappear, but it did. That same ungraspable feeling sits with us when we think of a vanished lake. These disappearing waters whisper to us. They remind us that even the most basic parts of our world hold secrets. They invite us to wonder, to be okay with not knowing everything, and maybe to appreciate the water that is still here, flowing and constant, in a world full of quiet, beautiful mysteries. Whispers from the deep ocean. Have you ever thought about what sounds might echo in the deepest, darkest parts of our ocean? Far below where sunlight can reach, where pressure crushes everything, the sea holds secrets we can barely imagine. Sometimes, from these vast, unknown depths, strange sounds emerge, sounds that puzzle even the smartest scientists. We call them whispers, not because they are soft, but because they hint at things we can't quite grasp. Like a quiet question without an answer. For a very long time, humans have gazed at the ocean's surface and wondered what lay beneath. Ancient people told stories of giant sea creatures or hidden cities. They sensed a mystery, a power far beyond their understanding. And even now, with all our amazing technology, most of the deep ocean remains a shadowy, unexplored world. It reminds us just how little we truly know about our own planet. Think about it like this. Imagine you're in a very old, quiet house at night. You might hear a creak from the floorboards, or a strange hum from the walls. You know it's probably just the house settling. But for a moment, your mind sparks with curiosity. Is it the wind? Is it something else? The ocean's deep sounds are similar. They are vast, mysterious creaks and groans from a part of Earth we can barely touch. These sounds might be from massive geological shifts, or perhaps from creatures we haven't discovered yet. Or maybe even something entirely different. These aren't frightening noises, but rather invitations. They invite us to feel the quiet wonder of our world. They tell us that even in an age of maps and science, truly vast unknowns still exist. These whispers from the deep remind us that there's still so much more to listen for, to feel curious about, and to simply stand in awe of, in the silent, watery depths that hold countless untold stories. The old map that shows the impossible. Have you ever looked at an old map, maybe one drawn hundreds of years ago? You expect to see familiar lands, right? But imagine finding a map, made long before airplanes or satellites, that somehow shows places no one should have known about yet. That's the mystery of some ancient maps. They're not just a little off. They depict coastlines or landmasses that were supposedly discovered much later. Think about it. Explorers struggled for years, sailing dangerous seas, to find new lands. But these maps seem to hold knowledge from a time before those voyages, knowledge that wasn't supposed to exist back then. It's like someone peeked into the future, or had information we just can't explain. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What secrets do these faded lines and smudged names truly hold? They whisper of forgotten journeys, of skills or technologies lost to time. It's not just about geography. It's about challenging what we think we know about history itself. Here's the thing: we built our understanding of the world, brick by brick, based on facts and discoveries. It's kind of like if you drew a picture of your school. but accidentally included a new building that won't even be built for 10 more years. How could you have known? It just doesn't make sense. And that's the feeling these old maps give us. They sit there, silent witnesses, hinting at stories far grander and stranger than our history books tell. These maps aren't just paper and ink. They are quiet questions, reaching across centuries, asking us to consider that perhaps our understanding of the past is incomplete. They suggest that the world might hold more hidden truths, more whispered possibilities, than we've ever dared to dream, and maybe, just maybe, some things truly are beyond our current explanation, waiting for us to understand them, if we ever can. People who remember the future, have you ever had a feeling, a strong sense, that something was going to happen, and then it did? Not just a guess, but a deep, quiet knowing, like you've seen it before, even though it hasn't happened yet. This is a strange idea, isn't it? We usually remember things that have already passed. Our memories are like a book of yesterday. But what if, for some people, a few pages from tomorrow's book somehow appeared in their mind today? This isn't about fortune-telling or magic tricks. It's about something more subtle, a quiet whisper in the mind. Think of it like this. Your brain is amazing. It stores everything, right? So, how could it ever store something that hasn't happened? It's a puzzle that makes scientists scratch their heads. For centuries, across different cultures, people have spoken of dreams or visions that show them parts of the future. Ancient prophets, oracles in old stories, they were often described as having this unusual ability to see what was coming. It made people wonder if time wasn't just a straight line, always moving forward. Maybe it bends, or maybe there are echoes. Imagine you're about to take a big test, and suddenly, a specific question pops into your head. You don't just think it might be on the test. You distinctly remember seeing it, like you've already taken the test. And then, when you open the test paper, there it is, word for word. That feeling of a future memory is what we're talking about. It's not logical. It doesn't fit with how we understand the world. So, here's the thing. Does this mean the future is already written? Or is it just our minds playing tricks, matching coincidences in a powerful way? We don't have the answers, but it makes you think about time, about memory, and the vast unknown spaces of the human mind. It's a reminder that even basic things, like what it means to remember, can hold mysteries deeper than we imagine. It leaves us with a sense of wonder, a quiet question floating in the air. What if time isn't what we think it is? Animals that just know. Have you ever stopped to think if animals know things we don't? It's a curious question, isn't it? It feels like they sometimes have a secret sense, a quiet knowing that whispers warnings or offers comfort. Imagine your own pet, for instance. Doesn't it sometimes seem to understand your mood before you even say a word? Or think about a flock of birds, how they might suddenly go completely silent, or fly off in a panic, just before a big storm rolls in. For thousands of years, people across different cultures have watched animals and noticed this strange ability. Ancient groups often believed animals were more connected to the earth, more in tune with hidden energies. They saw these creatures not just as living beings, but as messengers, guides who could sense shifts in the world long before humans could. It's not magic, but it's definitely something beyond what our everyday five senses usually pick up. Here's the thing, how do they know? Imagine your dog, usually chill and calm, suddenly becoming restless, whining, or barking for no clear reason. Then, an hour later, you feel a small earthquake tremor shake your house, or think about your family cat. You're still blocks away from home, maybe stuck in traffic, but it's already sitting by the door, waiting for you to turn the key. How did it know you were on your way? It's not about seeing you or hearing your car in the usual way. It's almost like a ripple effect, a knowing that spreads through the world before an event fully arrives. Like when you get a sudden feeling about something, but multiplied. This quiet, deep knowing in animals makes us wonder about our own place in the world. It suggests there's a bigger, deeper web of connection, a language spoken not in words but in feeling and instinct. Maybe we too have forgotten how to listen to these subtle whispers from the world around us. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? It reminds us that the natural world holds so many mysteries, and sometimes the simplest creatures can actually show us the most profound truths. It invites us to be more present, to observe, and to simply wonder about the vast, unseen currents that flow through all life, connecting everything in ways we are still trying to understand. Buildings made by nobody we know. Imagine walking through a really old city, like one from a history book. You see these huge buildings, strong and perfect. But then you start to wonder, who built this and how? For many of the world's most amazing, ancient structures, we have good answers. We know about the Romans and their impressive aqueducts, or the Egyptians and their pyramids. We've studied their tools, their plans, their written records. But here's the thing. Some buildings, some truly ancient places, don't fit that story. These are places with gigantic stones, cut with incredible precision. They are designed with a wisdom that seems beyond the people we think lived at that time, using the tools we believe they had. There are no clear records, no drawings left behind telling us who the builders were. It's like finding a masterpiece, painting, but the artist's name is completely unknown, and no one remembers seeing them paint it. We look at these silent giants, these stone puzzles, and our usual history books just don't have the full answers. Think about drawing a really complicated picture, maybe a detailed cityscape or a perfect animal. You know you drew it, your hand made every line. But imagine if someone else found that drawing later, hundreds of years from now, and it was so perfect, so detailed, that they couldn't believe. A person from your time could have made it with just pencils and paper. They'd wonder, how did they do that? Was there some secret tool, or someone else helping that we don't know about? That's a bit like what happens when we look at these mystery buildings. They make us feel small, in a good way. They remind us that our understanding of the past is not complete. History isn't a finished book. There are still so many blank pages, so many unknowns, and maybe that's okay. Maybe the mystery itself is part of the wonder. It pushes us to ask more questions, to look deeper into the shadows of time. It tells us that the world holds more secrets than we can ever imagine. And that's a beautiful thought to carry with you. The spark that comes from nowhere. Have you ever felt a moment when something just clicks? A brand new idea, a sudden understanding, or a deep feeling that seems to bloom from nowhere. It's like a tiny, bright flame lighting up in the dark, without any match being struck, a secret whispered into the quiet air. You didn't consciously work for it. It simply arrived. For thousands of years, people have wondered about these special moments. They've called them inspiration or flashes of insight. Ancient Greek thinkers, for example, sometimes believed these sudden bursts of knowing were like gifts from the gods themselves. They felt a powerful creative surge wasn't entirely their own doing. But here's the thing, even with all our amazing science, we still can't always trace that very first, gentle flicker. Where does that initial energy, that fresh, clear thought, truly begin? It remains one of those deep, beautiful puzzles. Think about a time you were really stuck on something. Maybe a tricky math problem that made your brain ache, or trying to write a story, and the words just wouldn't flow. You tried every angle, every trick you knew, but nothing worked. Then, often when you weren't even trying anymore, perhaps while walking your dog, or just before falling asleep, the perfect solution, or the next amazing sentence simply arrived. It didn't come from the logic you carefully worked through earlier. It was like a sudden, warm light, a quiet whisper from somewhere beyond your everyday thoughts. This mysterious spark, this beginning from nothing, gently reminds us that not everything in life can be broken down into simple, explainable parts. Sometimes, the most beautiful and powerful things, like a new discovery, a piece of art, or even a feeling of deep connection, don't follow a clear path we can map out. They just are. They bloom from a place we don't fully understand. It's a quiet, humbling reminder of the deep magic that still lives in the hidden corners of our minds, and in the vast, unexplained wonders of the universe itself. It shows us there's still so much to wonder about, so much quiet mystery just waiting to be felt. Voices in the empty room. Have you ever been completely alone? Maybe in your bedroom late at night, and you hear something, a soft whisper, a faint murmur, a sound like your name being called. Your heart might quicken, and you search the empty room, just you and the silence. It's a strange feeling, isn't it? As if the air holds secrets. This isn't really about ghosts. It's more about how our minds work, and how the world holds mysteries. Humans have long tried to understand these sounds. Ancient people might have thought the wind carried messages from spirits, or that unseen beings rustled nearby. They tried to give meaning to every sound, creating stories. Today, we have science, but some things still feel just beyond reach. Think about a fan running, or a refrigerator's hum. If you listen long enough, especially when tired, your brain might start making patterns from that noise. It might sound like talking, or a faint tune. Our brains constantly seek order, even in chaos. It's like when you mishear song lyrics, your brain fills in the blanks with what it expects, or what sounds familiar. These voices can be our minds, taking tiny, almost silent sounds, and shaping them into something human. So, when you hear that quiet whisper, maybe it's not a spirit, maybe it's your own brilliant brain, trying to make sense of the world, even its silent parts. It reminds us how powerful our perception is. Sometimes, the most mysterious places aren't far away, but right inside our own heads, listening to the echoes of nothing. Trees that grow in the wrong place. Have you ever looked at a tree and felt a quiet wonder, especially when it's growing somewhere truly impossible? Not in a forest, but perhaps pushing through solid rock on a mountain, or clinging to old, crumbling bricks on an abandoned building. These aren't just seeds that landed strangely. These are trees that seem to defy the rules, challenging everything we think we know about life and growth. They appear where there's almost no soil, where water seems too far, and sunlight feels like a distant promise. For thousands of years, humans have watched nature with deep curiosity. Ancient stories often show trees as symbols of endurance, wisdom, and life's unbreakable spirit. They are meant to be rooted deep, steady, and strong. Yet, these strange trees challenge that idea. They show us a deeper wisdom, a silent, stubborn will that pushes against all odds. It's like they carry a hidden power science hasn't decoded. How does a tiny root find moisture inside cracked stone? How does a fragile sapling cling to a windy cliff edge, not just surviving, but thriving? Think about that small, persistent weed pushing its way up through a narrow crack in the sidewalk. You walk over it every day, but that little plant is battling something much harder, concrete. It's an everyday miracle of determination. Now, picture that same impossible fight on a grander scale. A massive tree reaching for the sky from a spot where, by all logic, no tree should ever survive. It makes you pause, doesn't it? It makes you really think about the incredible, quiet force of life itself. It suggests that even when everything seems impossible, there might still be an unseen way forward. These extraordinary trees stand as quiet, powerful teachers. They don't shout their lessons, they just exist. They whisper about resilience, about finding strength in unexpected places. They gently suggest there are deeper, unseen energies at work in the world. Forces that push life forward, even when all reason and science say it can't be done. It's a soft, yet profound, reminder that sometimes, the most extraordinary things bloom quietly, defiantly, just beyond what we currently understand. What happened to the missing plane? Have you ever lost something truly important? Maybe a favorite necklace, or a special notebook. You search everywhere, turning rooms upside down. You replay your steps in your mind. But sometimes, despite all your efforts, it's just gone. Now, imagine that feeling, but on a massive scale. Think about a huge airplane, full of people, flying high above the ocean. It's on a planned journey. Everyone expects it to land safely. But then, one day, this giant machine, with all its technology and hundreds of lives aboard, simply disappears. No distress signal, no wreckage found for years, sometimes never. It just vanishes from the sky, leaving behind a silence louder than any crash. For centuries, people have tried to make sense of things they couldn't explain. Ancient sailors drew monsters on maps where they didn't know what was. We always want a clear answer for why things happen. So, when a modern plane, tracked by satellites, simply blinks out of existence, it challenges what we know about our world. It's like working on a puzzle. You've placed almost all the pieces, the picture is forming clearly, but then you realize one crucial piece, a big, important one, isn't there. You know it was in the box, you're sure it exists, but you can't find it. It leaves a gaping hole, a part of the picture forever incomplete. That missing piece makes you wonder if you ever had it, or if it just vanished. The mystery of a missing plane isn't just about metal. It's about stories that never finished, questions that hang heavy. It's a quiet reminder that even in our connected world, vast, unexplained spaces exist. Sometimes, the biggest mysteries simply fade into the horizon, leaving us only with wonder and the vast, open sky. The town where everyone forgot. Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly forgotten why you went there? That little blank space, even for a moment, can feel strange. Now imagine an entire town, a whole community, where suddenly everyone started to forget not just a name or a date, but big things, their jobs, their own families, the history of their home. It sounds like a story, right? A spooky tale. But there are whispers, old legends even, about places where memories seem to vanish, not just from one person, but from many. It's hard to imagine, because our memories are like the threads that weave us together. They tell us who we are, where we've been, and who we love. If those threads suddenly unravel for everyone around you, what would be left? Think about how you learn new things at school. Every fact you pick up, every story your friend tells, it all gets stored somewhere in your brain. It's like building a giant mental library, full of all your experiences. Now picture that library, not just for you, but for everyone in your neighborhood. And then, one day, all the books are gone. The shelves are empty. The stories have just disappeared. This isn't about a disease that affects one person, but something that might sweep through a place, leaving behind a profound quiet. The town might still stand, the houses might still be there, but the shared memories, the jokes only they understood, the sense of being a community with a past, all gone. It makes you think, doesn't it, how delicate our minds are, and how important memory is, not just for us, but for us as a group. A town without its memories isn't really a town at all, is it? It becomes a collection of strangers, living in a place they no longer recognize. It reminds us to cherish the stories we share, the moments we hold on to, because they are the very glue of our lives. Glowing rocks from another world. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered what else is out there? What if pieces of that distant darkness came right down to earth, and they weren't just ordinary rocks? Imagine finding a stone that hums with its own light, a soft, steady glow that needs no sun or batteries. These are the whispers of glowing rocks from another world. For ages, people have seen strange lights in the sky, and objects falling to earth. Some thought they were messages from gods, others believed they were signs of magic. When these objects were found, sometimes they glowed without reason. Here's the thing, most rocks don't just glow on their own. If they do, it's usually for a reason we understand, like being radioactive. But what if the glow comes from something truly unknown, an energy our science can't explain? Think about how a firefly lights up the night, or how a glow stick suddenly shines. There's a quiet wonder to that. It's unexpected, almost magical. Now imagine that wonder, but for something that traveled millions of miles through space, arriving quietly here. This isn't about rocks that just reflect light. It's about rocks that create it, patiently, mysteriously. Here's what happened. Rocks have been found in remote places, often after meteor showers, that just give off a faint light. Scientists study them, trying to find out why they glow. But some defy easy explanation. They don't fit our usual knowledge. They remind us that our understanding of the universe is still growing. It's like finding a secret note from a place you didn't know existed. It makes you realize how much wonder is still out there, waiting to be seen. It reminds us that the universe is far stranger and more beautiful than we often imagine. Circles in the fields overnight. Have you ever woken up and found something completely new in a familiar place? Something that definitely wasn't there when you went to bed. Imagine that feeling, but on a huge scale, stretched across vast fields of wheat or corn. We're talking about giant patterns, perfect circles, and incredibly intricate designs, pressed flat into the stalks. These are often called crop circles, and the most curious thing is, they just appear overnight. For decades now, in quiet countrysides around the world, people have woken up to discover these amazing, sometimes massive, shapes etched into their land. It's like a mysterious artist arrived in the dead of night and crafted a huge, silent masterpiece, then disappeared without a trace. There are often no footprints, no tire marks, just these striking, perfect designs. It naturally makes you wonder, how did they get there? And what do they mean, if anything at all? This quiet mystery has puzzled people for a very long time. For centuries, even before cameras, there were tales of strange patterns in fields, though maybe not as complex as today's circles. Some folks think it's human artists, using ropes and planks to create incredible, large-scale art. And yes, some have even shown how they did it. But even with those explanations, a quiet wonder remains about the sheer size and the perfect geometry of certain designs, almost as if they were drawn by some unseen hand. It's like finding a beautiful, complicated sandcastle on the beach early in the morning, perfect and detailed, but no one saw it being built. You know someone must have made it, but the mystery of how it appeared so quickly, without anyone noticing, still makes you pause and think. This whole phenomenon, these sudden, unexpected circles, they gently remind us that the world is still full of mysteries. It's okay not to have all the answers. Sometimes, the real beauty isn't in knowing how something happened, but in feeling that spark of quiet wonder. It's about looking at something strange and letting your mind wander, just for a moment, into the soft, silent magic of the unknown. Hands that heal with just a touch. Have you ever noticed how just a simple touch can change everything? How sometimes, without a single word, a hand on your arm can make you feel safer, less alone. We're talking about something beyond a doctor's medicine or a bandage. Some of the oldest stories, from every corner of the world, speak of certain people who seem to carry a strange, quiet power in their hands. A power to soothe deep aches, to quiet anxieties, and even, it's said, to help the body mend itself. It's not magic. It's something quieter, often whispered about. For thousands of years, people have believed in these healing hands. Ancient Egyptian priests used touch in their rituals. In medieval Europe, some kings were thought to cure illnesses just by laying their hands on a person. Across cultures, healers believed in an unseen life force, or energy, that could be channeled to help balance the body and mind. It's a shared human mystery, woven into the fabric of time. Think about it like this. When you're really sad or stressed, and a friend or family member just puts a hand on your shoulder, or gives you a gentle hug, doesn't some of that heavy feeling lift, even just a little? It's not that your problem vanishes, but the feeling of care, of connection, helps your mind and body feel less overwhelmed. Or imagine a baby crying, and the moment a parent picks them up, the tears stop. That simple physical contact, the warmth and presence, offers comfort far beyond explanation. So what if, just sometimes, in certain rare individuals, this innate human power of comforting touch is amplified in ways we can't yet measure or fully understand? It makes us pause, doesn't it? It suggests that what truly helps us, or brings us peace, might lie beyond what science can fully measure. Perhaps it's in the unseen currents of human connection, and the quiet, mysterious energies that still move through our world, waiting for us to sense them. The music only some can hear. Have you ever felt a quiet hum in the air, a whisper of something vast and beautiful, even when no sound was actually playing? What if the world held a secret melody, a deep, unseen music that only a few could truly hear? This isn't about hearing voices or things that aren't there. It's something different. It's the idea that some people might perceive a kind of universal harmony, a deep vibration or subtle rhythm that exists beyond our normal hearing. It's like their inner senses are tuned to a different frequency, picking up on a quiet, beautiful song woven into the very fabric of existence. For thousands of years, people have pondered this idea. Ancient Greek thinkers, like a mathematician named Pythagoras, believed in the music of the spheres. They imagined that the planets, as they orbited the sun, created perfect, silent melodies, a cosmic symphony too grand for human ears to grasp. It was a beautiful way to think about the order and mystery of the universe, suggesting that everything is connected by unseen threads of sound. Think about it like this. When you walk into a quiet forest, you don't just hear the birds or the rustle of leaves. Sometimes you feel a stillness, a presence, a deep peace that feels almost like a soft, ongoing hum in your chest, rather than your ears. It's like the forest itself is singing a low, ancient note, and your body is somehow picking up on it. Or consider how a bat uses sounds we can't hear to navigate. What if some people are simply tuned to a different, more subtle kind of sound in the world, a resonance that hints at deeper truths? So, what if these quiet melodies are always there, just waiting for us to listen with more than just our ears? Perhaps it reminds us that there's always more to discover, more to feel, and more ways to experience the mysterious beauty of our world than we often imagine. It hints at the idea that each of us might carry a unique way of listening to the quiet, profound songs of the universe. Fire that burns without fuel. Have you ever thought about fire? We usually picture wood crackling, or a candle flame, right? Something burning, using up fuel. But what if fire just appeared? What if it burned without anything obvious to feed it? It sounds impossible, like a story from a very old book, but history holds many tales of fires that simply ignite on their own. They appear in places where no one lit a match, no lightning struck, no fuel seems to be around. People call this spontaneous combustion, but even that big word doesn't fully explain it. It's like something within an object suddenly decides to spark and burn. For centuries, people saw these fires and were amazed, and sometimes scared. They wondered if it was magic, or a curse, or a sign from another world. Imagine seeing smoke rise from a seemingly ordinary pile of rags, or even a person, with no clear reason. It made people think about what hidden energies might exist in the world, things we can't easily see or control. It challenged their understanding of how the world worked. Think about how sometimes, even in your own mind, a sudden idea can just spark. You weren't thinking about it, and then boom, it's there. Or how a buried emotion can suddenly flare up, like anger or joy, without an obvious trigger. It's not the same as a fire, of course, but it's that idea of something igniting from within, without an outside push. It's like a quiet energy suddenly bursting forth. So when we think about fire that burns without fuel, it's more than just a strange event. It makes us wonder about all the hidden forces around us, and even within us. It reminds us that not everything follows the rules we expect. Sometimes, the most powerful things come from a place we can't quite see or name, a deep, silent spark, waiting for its moment. It's a reminder that the world holds many mysteries, quietly waiting to surprise us, inviting us to look a little closer and feel a little more deeply. Objects that float when they shouldn't. Have you ever seen something fall into water, and your brain just knows it should sink, but then, it floats? It's a strange moment, isn't it? Like a tiny rule of the world suddenly flipped. We learn that heavy things sink, and lighter things float. That's how density works, how tightly its material is packed into a space. A small rock is dense, so it sinks. A big log, though huge, is less dense than water, so it floats. But what about those moments when what we expect to happen just doesn't? For centuries, people have seen objects defy simple logic. Imagine ancient sailors finding pieces of rock floating in the ocean after a volcanic eruption. These rocks, called pumice, are full of tiny air bubbles, making them incredibly light for their size. It must have felt like magic, a stone dancing on waves instead of sinking. It challenged what they thought they knew about the solid earth. This mystery makes us pause and truly look. It made thinkers like Archimedes thousands of years ago wonder deeply about why things float or sink. Their questions helped explain how water pushes objects up. Here's the thing. Sometimes, what seems heavy holds a hidden lightness. Think about how a huge heavy steel ship floats. It's not about the steel being lighter than water, because a small piece of steel sinks instantly. It's about the ship's shape, which pushes aside a lot of water. This pushing aside, called displacement, makes the water push back and hold the ship up. It's a bit like our own feelings. Sometimes, you might carry a heavy worry, something that feels like it should drag you down. But then, a kind word, a friend's understanding, or even just remembering a small victory, can make that worry feel lighter. The problem doesn't vanish, but how you hold it, the space you give it, changes. And that's why it matters. These strange floating objects remind us that the world, and even our own minds, hold depths and wonders we don't always see. They invite us to look closer, to question what we think we know, and to find beauty in the unexpected rise. The secret of the stoneheads. Have you ever stood before something so old, so grand, that it makes you wonder about the people who built it? Imagine giant stone faces, standing silent on a lonely island in the middle of a vast ocean. These are the Moai of Easter Island, famous stoneheads that stare out, almost like guardians of a forgotten time. For centuries, these massive statues have kept their secrets. The people who made them, the Rapa Nui, lived on one of the most isolated places on Earth. And here's the thing, they carved hundreds of these giants, some weighing more than a dozen elephants. But how did they move them from the quarries where they were shaped, all the way to the coast? How did they stand them upright? No one truly knows. It's like trying to figure out how a single ant could move a mountain, except it was thousands of people moving huge rocks. They didn't have big machines or even wheels, just human hands, ropes, and maybe a lot of logs. This isn't just about rocks, though it's about human will. Think about how much effort, how much belief must have gone into carving and moving these stones. It reminds me of a huge, complicated puzzle that a whole town had to solve together. But we lost the instructions long ago. These people built something truly amazing, something that lasted for thousands of years. But the way they did it remains a quiet whisper on the wind. So, here's what I found. Sometimes, the greatest stories aren't found in books, but in the silent questions left behind by history. The stone heads don't just stand there. They make us think about what humans can do, and about the mysteries that may never be fully explained. They tell us that some wonders are meant to just be, for us to look at and wonder, and that's okay. It's a beautiful mystery, isn't it? A lake that swallows everything. Have you ever stopped to wonder if a piece of our world could simply disappear? Not just hide, but truly vanish. Imagine a large, beautiful lake, full of water, reflecting the sky, and then, one day, it's just gone. The water has drained away, leaving an empty basin, as if the earth itself took a deep, quiet breath and swallowed it whole. This isn't just a strange idea from a storybook. There are real places on our planet where lakes can literally drain away, sometimes for years, sometimes just for a season. The water finds pathways deep underground, disappearing into cracks and caves. People long ago saw such grand things vanish and were awestruck. They might have told stories of sleeping giants, or spirits guarding the earth's hidden ways, trying to make sense of a world holding deep, unexpected secrets. They knew nature had a power too vast for us to grasp. It's a bit like building a sandcastle near the ocean's edge. You build it up, but then a wave comes, or the tide rises, and your castle just softens, washes away, absorbed back into the beach. Or, think about a noisy crowd in a school hallway. Then, the bell rings, and everyone flows into classrooms. Suddenly, the hallway is empty and quiet. All that energy, all that movement, just absorbed, changed. This quiet disappearance of a whole lake reminds us our world is full of mysteries. It shows us that even constant things can shift and change in ways we don't expect. There's a calm beauty in admitting we don't have all the answers. In just watching and wondering at the vast, secret life of the earth. It's a gentle lesson in letting go, in knowing that some of the deepest wonders are found, not in what we can perfectly explain, but in the quiet, powerful things that simply are. The hum that never stops. Have you ever been in a really quiet room? So quiet that you almost start to hear things that aren't there. What if you heard a low, steady sound, a constant hum that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once? And what if, when you asked others, they couldn't hear a thing? This is the strange reality for thousands of people around the world. They call it the hum. It's a mysterious, low-frequency, thrumming noise, often described as sounding like a distant diesel engine, or even just a deep, vibrating whisper. But here's the problem. Scientists can't find a source for it. It doesn't show up on microphones, and it doesn't seem to be coming from any known machine or natural event. For those who hear it, it can be incredibly disruptive, making it hard to sleep, hard to concentrate, and sometimes just plain unsettling. People have been reporting this unusual phenomenon for decades, in different places like Bristol, England, or Taos, New Mexico. It's not a new thing, but it's still unexplained. It makes you wonder about the world around us and how we sense it. Is it something geological, like the earth itself vibrating in a way we can't measure? Is it a secret industrial noise no one can pinpoint? Or is it something about how our own brains work, picking up on a frequency that most of us just filter out? Think about how some people can hear those really high-pitched sounds that others can't, like the special phone rings designed only for young ears. The hum is a bit like that, but in reverse. It's a low thrumming, a steady vibration that seems to come from nowhere, yet it's deeply felt by those who experience it. For them, it's a constant, unseen companion. This quiet mystery, this sound that exists for some but not for others, makes you pause and reflect. It shows us that what we think of as real or audible can be different for each person. It reminds us that there are still so many things our science can't quite grasp. Things that exist just beyond our current understanding. And that, in itself, is a truly amazing, quiet thought, that even in our modern world, some secrets are held, not just by the universe, but within our own minds. Raindrops that don't fall down. Have you ever stopped to watch the rain? Really watch each drop as it falls. It's a simple thing, something we expect. But what if some raindrops didn't fall at all? What if, instead, they just hung there, suspended, defying the very force that pulls everything to the ground? It sounds like something from a dream or a story. Yet, there are whispers, old tales, and even some modern observations of water droplets that seem to just hover, not quite a cloud, not quite fog, but individual drops, caught in an invisible embrace. For centuries, humans have looked at the sky and felt a sense of awe, or perhaps a shiver of fear, when nature acts in ways we don't understand. Think of ancient people watching a strange mist cling to the ground, or a river fog that never quite lifts. They saw mystery, a power beyond their grasp. It made them wonder about the hidden rules of the world. And here's the thing, this idea of something not quite settling, not quite falling, it shows up in our own lives too. Think about a tough decision you have to make. Sometimes a feeling or an idea can just hang in your mind. It doesn't quite settle into a clear answer. It just floats there, like a raindrop held by an unseen force. You know it needs to come down, to become real, but it waits. It hovers, full of possibility, or maybe just uncertainty. So, these strange floating raindrops remind us of something beautiful and a little bit unsettling. They show us that the world still holds secrets, moments that don't quite fit our neat boxes. And maybe, sometimes, it's okay for things to just hang in the air for a while. It's a space of wonder, a quiet pause before everything settles. It teaches us to look closer, to accept that not everything has an immediate answer, and that mystery itself can hold its own kind of deep truth. Where did the lost colony go? Imagine looking for something really important, like your favorite book, and it's just gone. Not just lost in your room, but totally vanished, as if it never existed. Now picture that feeling, but instead of a book, it's over 100 people. This is the enduring mystery of the lost colony of Roanoke. It happened a long time ago. In the late 1500s, English settlers arrived on an island off the coast of what is now North Carolina. They were starting a new life, building homes, dreaming of a future in a new land. Their leader, a man named John White, had to sail back to England for more supplies. He left behind men, women, and children, including his own granddaughter, Virginia Dare, the first English child born in America. He promised he would return, but the world was a big, slow place then. Wars and storms delayed him. 3 long years passed before he could sail back to Roanoke. When his ships finally reached the shore, a strange quiet hung in the air. The settlement was gone. The houses were dismantled, the fort walls torn down. No signs of struggle, no bodies, no clear message, just one word carved into a wooden post: Croatoan. This was the name of a nearby Native American tribe. Did they go there? Were they taken? No one ever knew for sure. Think about standing there, in that silent, empty space. All those hopes, all those dreams, just dissolved. It's like walking into your house after a long day, and your entire family has disappeared without a note. You'd search, you'd call out, but the silence would be the only reply. This chilling quiet is what history leaves us with when a complete story vanishes. The ocean tides have washed over that island for centuries, and the trees have grown tall, but they don't whisper the answers. It makes you wonder about the fear, the hope, the last moments of people swallowed by the vastness of the unknown. Some stories are just meant to be questions, echoing softly through time. Visions that come true. Have you ever felt like you knew something was going to happen, just before it did? Not like guessing, but a real sense, a picture in your mind, that then came true. It's a strange thought, isn't it? Like catching a glimpse of tomorrow, today. For centuries, people have told stories about these kinds of moments. Long before science had a name for everything, thinkers and storytellers wondered about visions. They appear in old myths, in ancient prophecies, even in old diaries. It's a concept woven deep into human history. The idea that sometimes our minds can touch future events. It's not about magic tricks, but more like a quiet echo, a whisper from time itself. How can we explain seeing an event unfold in our minds, only to watch it happen exactly the same way moments, or even days, later? Think about it like this. Imagine you're humming a tune in your head, a really specific one. Then, you turn on the radio, and there it is, that exact song playing. That's a tiny, everyday kind of coincidence. But what if the song was something much bigger? What if it was seeing a friend in a particular place, then walking around the corner, and there they are? Or a distinct feeling about a certain outcome, and then it happens. It makes you pause and think about how our minds work, and what connects us to the world around us. Science, with all its amazing tools, still hasn't fully grasped this phenomenon. It sits on the edge of what we understand, a soft mystery. It makes us wonder about the true nature of time itself. Is it always moving forward, or are there moments when it folds back, just a little, letting us peek? It reminds us that there's still so much we don't know, waiting to be explored, waiting to make us marvel. And maybe, just maybe, our own minds hold some of those quiet, unexplained wonders. The mirror that shows another world. Have you ever looked into a mirror, not just at your own face, but really into it? What if, just for a moment, the world behind you didn't quite match up? What if the reflection wasn't yours at all? Glimpse of somewhere else. For centuries, people have felt a strange pull toward mirrors. They weren't always just for checking how you look. Ancient cultures, and even some today, thought of a mirror as a thin, shimmery curtain. It was a portal. Some believed it could show you the future. Others thought it was a place where spirits might linger, or where another version of our own world existed, just out of reach. It was an object of wonder, sometimes even fear. This idea that a mirror could be more than just glass is deep in our stories and our minds. Here's the thing, our own eyes can play tricks on us too. Think about looking at a funhouse mirror. Your reflection stretches and warps, making you look tall and skinny, or short and wide. It's still you, but not quite. Or think about how we present ourselves online. The profile picture, the filtered photo, it's a reflection, but often a highly edited one. It shows a version of us that might not be exactly who we are. That online mirror can sometimes feel like a whole different world, right? So, these old stories about mirrors showing other worlds, maybe they're not just about magic or ghosts. Maybe they point to something about how we see. They make us wonder if what we perceive, what our eyes show us, is the complete picture. The world around us holds many mysteries, things we don't fully understand. Sometimes, the biggest questions aren't about distant galaxies, but the surfaces we look into every day, and what secrets they might quietly hold. Shadows that move on their own. Have you ever really looked at your own shadow? It's a simple thing, a dark, silent copy, always where the light isn't. But what if it moved on its own? What if, in a still room, a shadow twitched, stretched, or floated, with no light changes or objects moving it? These are reports of shadows that defy simple logic. People describe clear, distinct movements, not just a trick of the eye or a passing cloud. For ages, humans saw shadows as more than just darkness. Some ancient beliefs said they were part of your soul, or a doorway to another world. A strange shadow felt like a message from something beyond our normal understanding. Our brains are good at making sense of things, even when little is there. Think of clothes in a dim room looking like a person, just for a second, or a pattern seeming to pulse. These are mind tricks, but true moving shadow stories come from people wide awake, seeing something that just breaks the rules of how shadows should act, and that's why it's so unsettling. A shadow is basic, predictable. When something so simple defies logic, it makes you wonder how much we don't know. It's a quiet thought that even the simplest things around us might hold deep secrets, dancing just out of our grasp. It makes reality feel much stranger than we imagine. The ocean's deepest riddle. Have you ever really thought about the ocean? Not just the beaches or where you swim, but the deep, dark places that stretch for miles and miles. What secrets do you think it holds down there, far beyond where any light can reach? It's a quiet, cold world, almost like another planet hidden here on Earth. In this endless dark, strange things happen. Scientists record huge, unexplained noises. Ships and planes vanish without a trace, leaving only questions. This isn't about monsters, it's about things science can't quite piece together. The ocean keeps its own counsel, a silent witness. Two mysteries we barely imagine. For thousands of years, people looked at the ocean with awe and fear. Ancient sailors believed in sea gods and mythical creatures. They imagined vast, unknown lands beyond the horizon. It wasn't just fear. It was a way to make sense of something so huge, something that felt alive. Even without modern tools, they knew the ocean held immense power and endless riddles. It was the ultimate mystery, a blank space on their maps, filled with possibility and peril. Think of it like this. Imagine you have an old, very thick book, thousands of pages long. You've only read the first few sentences of the first page. The rest of the book, 99% of it, is still unread. Its stories and characters completely unknown. That's us and the deep ocean. We've explored so little. So, when we think about these unexplained ocean events, it's not about finding spooky stories. It's about remembering that wonder is still very much alive. It's about accepting that some things are beyond our understanding, and that's okay. In fact, it's beautiful. It shows us how much more there is to learn, how much more to simply be amazed by in this incredible world. The ocean whispers its biggest riddles to those who listen quietly, reminding us of the vastness of the unknown. Stones that sing in the desert. Have you ever thought about what silence truly sounds like? Not just the absence of noise, but a deep, vast quiet, like the desert at night. And then, what if that silence wasn't so silent after all? What if, in the most desolate, sandy places on earth, the very ground beneath your feet could sing? Here's the thing, in certain deserts around the world, like parts of China, the Sahara, or even some areas in the American West, there are dunes that actually make sounds. People call them singing sands or booming dunes. It's not a whisper or a gentle tune. It's a deep, vibrating hum, sometimes like a low drum, sometimes like a distant roar, or even a bell ringing out in the vast emptiness. For centuries, travelers and desert dwellers heard these strange sounds. Some thought it was spirits speaking, or perhaps giant, hidden creatures stirring beneath the sand. It felt mysterious, like the desert itself was breathing. The ancient Greeks wrote about them, amazed by this natural wonder. What causes it? It turns out, it's mostly about how the wind moves the sand, how the grains slide over each other just right, creating friction and vibrations. Think of it like a massive natural instrument, played by the wind. It's a bit like when you rub your finger around the rim of a crystal glass to make it hum, but on a grand scale, with millions of tiny sand grains working together. It reminds us that even in places we imagine to be completely still, there's often a hidden language, a quiet symphony waiting to be discovered. The world holds so many wonders, so many unexplained voices, if we just take a moment to listen closely. Things that disappear forever. Have you ever thought about how some things just vanish? Not misplaced, but truly gone, as if they never existed. It's a strange, quiet mystery that echoes through time, leaving only questions and empty spaces. We search, we wonder, but sometimes the answer is just silence. This isn't just about losing your backpack. We're talking about objects, even groups of people, or grand ships, that simply fade from sight. Science tries to explain everything, from tiny atoms to distant stars. But here's the thing, some events defy all logic. They leave experts scratching their heads, like unfinished stories with their last page torn away. Humans have wrestled with this idea for ages. Ancient stories tell of islands sinking, or whole cities vanishing. Philosophers have wondered if something can truly disappear, or just change form. This deep curiosity makes us want to understand absence, to fill the quiet void left by what was once there but now isn't. It touches our deepest sense of wonder. Think about the old ship, the Mary Celeste. In 1872, it was found sailing perfectly fine, but no one was on board. The crew was gone. Their things were still there, meals half-eaten, but not a single person. No signs of a fight, no bad weather, just an empty ship, drifting on the huge ocean. No one truly knows what happened. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What happens to things, or people, that simply cease to be where they should be? These moments remind us that for all we know, the world holds secrets that stay stubbornly hidden. And maybe, in that lasting question, there's a quiet lesson about the huge unknown. A soft whisper that some riddles are meant to stay unsolved. Animals that see the unseen. What if the world around us, the one we think we know so well, actually holds secrets we just can't see? Imagine if there were colors beyond the rainbow, or sounds softer than a whisper that fill the air around us, always there, but completely hidden. For humans, our five senses are like windows to the world. We rely on our eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and skin to understand everything. For a long time, people believed that what we perceived was all there was. It felt complete, like our understanding filled every space. But here's the thing, science has shown us that our senses are just one tiny part of a much bigger story. Many animals have senses that work in ways we can barely imagine, letting them experience a reality that's richer and stranger than ours. Think about it this way, when you send a text or use Wi-Fi, there are invisible radio waves zipping all around you. You can't see them, or hear them, or feel them, but they're very real and doing important work. It's like that for some animals. Take a bat, flying in the dark. It sends out sounds at frequencies too high for human ears to hear. These sound waves bounce off objects and return to the bat, painting a clear picture of its surroundings, even in total darkness. Or consider a dog, often known for its amazing sense of smell. But they also hear things we don't, like the faint rustle of a mouse in a field from far away, or maybe even the subtle shifts in air pressure before a storm hits, long before we see a cloud. These animals live in the same world as us, but their experience of it is profoundly different. They move through dimensions we simply cannot access with our own senses. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What else is out there, beyond our human reach? It reminds us that our view of the universe is beautiful but also limited. There's so much more wonder, so much more mystery, waiting just beyond our everyday sight and sound, inviting us to be curious and humble about the vastness of existence. The wall that was built too soon. Have you ever looked at something and felt it didn't quite belong? Like it appeared long before it should have been possible? Imagine finding a smartphone, buzzing with life, right in the middle of a medieval castle. This isn't just an old phone. It's an object from a future that hadn't even dreamed of electricity, let alone microchips. That deep, quiet strangeness, that's what we feel when we consider the wall that was built too soon. Sometimes, we uncover things that simply don't fit the timeline science gives us. These aren't just old objects. They are ideas or creations that seem to leapfrog centuries of human progress. It's like discovering a super-fast bullet train, tracks and all, preserved in ancient Rome. It makes you pause. It makes you wonder if our understanding of history, of how knowledge and technology unfold, might be missing whole chapters. For a long time, for example, people believed it was impossible for humans to fly. The wall of impossibility seemed firmly built around that idea. But then, quietly, someone imagined it. Someone drew it. Someone, eventually, tried it. But here's the thing. What if a detailed blueprint for a flying machine was found carved into a cave wall thousands of years ago, long before anyone thought of wheels? That's the mystery we're talking about. How could something so advanced be imagined, or even created, when the very foundations needed for it were centuries away? This isn't just about ancient puzzles. It touches something deeper about how the world works and how we understand time itself. It asks us if time is always a straight line, or if sometimes a whisper from the future can echo back to us. These strange events make you feel small in a good way. They invite us to think about how much we still don't know, how many secrets the past and future might hold. These mysterious walls built too soon aren't just problems for scientists. They are invitations to look at the world with fresh, wondering eyes. They remind us that the full story of human understanding is far from finished. And that's why these whispers, seeming to belong to the future, are so meaningful. Voices from the static. Have you ever listened to the quietest parts of the night? Not the crickets or distant cars, but the deep, deep quiet. Sometimes, when it's truly silent, our minds play tricks. We might think we hear a whisper, a faint call, or a tune that isn't really there. This feeling, this almost sound, is what we call voices from the static. Static, for most of us, means that fuzzy noise on an old radio. It's the jumbled sound when you're between stations. But what if static is more than just random noise? What if it's a constant, low hum of existence, filled with tiny, unexplained signals? For centuries, people have wondered about sounds that defy explanation. Ancient cultures spoke of echoes from other realms, or whispers carried on the wind that held secrets. This deep human curiosity, this yearning to hear what's just beyond our grasp, connects us to this idea. Think about tuning an old radio. You turn the dial slowly, past all the hiss and crackle. Most of it is just noise. But then, for a fleeting moment, you catch a clear note, a word, before it fades back into the fuzz. You almost heard it. You felt it was there, waiting. That's how some strange events feel. They are like those clear notes in the world's static. Things that pop up, make us wonder, then vanish, leaving us to question what we truly experienced. This reminds us that our world is vast, and our senses are limited. Maybe there are messages all around us, riding on frequencies we can't quite tune into. Or maybe, sometimes, the deepest silence is simply too loud for our understanding. It's a quiet wonder, a gentle reminder that some mysteries aren't meant to be solved with loud answers. Instead, they are felt in the quiet spaces. And that's okay. It leaves room for awe, for poetry, for the soft hum of the unexplained. A cold spot that never leaves. Have you ever walked into a room, maybe an old hallway, and felt a sudden chill, a shiver that had nothing to do with the weather outside? It's like a whisper of cold air, right there, even when the rest of the space feels perfectly warm. This isn't about a broken air conditioner or an open window. This is different. We're talking about a cold spot, a place where the temperature drops for no clear reason, a spot that just, stays cold, It's one of those strange events that science, with all its tools and theories, struggles to explain. Imagine measuring the air, checking for drafts, looking for logical causes, and finding absolutely nothing. The numbers on the thermometer simply don't make sense for that particular patch of air. For centuries, people have felt these unexplained shivers. Our ancestors, long before thermometers, might have sensed these places too. They might have woven stories about unseen spirits or forgotten memories lingering in the air. This shows how humans have always tried to make sense of the world, even when it gives us mysteries. Think about a moment when you're watching a scary movie, and even though you know it's just a film, you get a sudden, unexplained goosebump. It's a physical reaction, a feeling of something odd, right? These cold spots are a bit like that, a physical oddity that suggests something beyond our everyday understanding. It's not just a feeling, it's a measurable drop in temperature, stuck in one place. And here's the thing about these enduring cold spots. They invite us to wonder. They remind us that our world holds secrets, tiny pockets of reality that don't quite fit our neat explanations. It makes you think about how much we don't know, and how much is still out there, waiting for us to simply notice it. It's a quiet reminder that the universe is far more mysterious, and perhaps more alive with hidden energies than we often imagine. The riddle of the sky beings. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, a deep ocean of darkness speckled with diamonds, and felt a strange tug, a quiet question in your mind about what else might be out there, beyond what we know? For centuries, humans have done this. They've seen things moving through the heavens that science, even today, struggles to explain. These aren't just stars or planes. They are lights, shapes, or movements that defy our understanding of the world. People have called them everything, from chariots of fire to flying saucers, or simply, sky beings. Here's the thing, this isn't a new idea. If you look back through history, almost every ancient culture, from the Egyptians building pyramids to Native American tribes telling stories by campfires, has tales of strange encounters in the sky. They drew pictures on cave walls and wrote myths about gods or mysterious visitors descending from above. It shows us that wonder, and the idea of something beyond our world, is a truly human feeling. It's a curiosity passed down through generations. Think about it like this. Sometimes you might see a shadow out of the corner of your eye, and for a second, it looks exactly like an animal or a person. Your brain quickly tries to make sense of it. Now, imagine that feeling, but stretched across an entire sky, with something truly unexpected. What if that shape or light moved in a way no airplane could, or disappeared in an instant? It's a moment that makes your mind stretch, trying to grasp something just out of reach. The mystery of these sky beings isn't about finding a simple answer. It's about the feeling they spark within us, a blend of awe, wonder, and perhaps a tiny bit of fear. It reminds us that our world, and the universe around it, is so much bigger and stranger than we can often imagine. Maybe some wonders are meant to remain just that, wonders. They hang above us, like quiet, shining questions, inviting us to keep looking up, to keep dreaming, and to always remember how much beauty and mystery the vast, silent cosmos still holds. When time gets tangled up, have you ever had a moment where time felt strange, not just moving too fast or too slow, but almost as if it folded in on itself, or looped back around? We usually think of time as a straight line, always marching forward, second by second. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow is yet to come. But what if it isn't always so simple? What if, sometimes, that steady, familiar march gets a little tangled? For a very long time, thinkers, poets, and everyday people have wondered deeply about time. Is it a river, always flowing in one direction, never looking back? Or is it something more vast and complex, like a deep, mysterious ocean with hidden currents we can't see, where different moments might brush against each other? Some ancient ideas even suggested that the past, present, and future aren't as separate as we assume. People have imagined time as a great wheel, or as different layers existing all at once. This is a question that has made humans pause and wonder about the very fabric of our reality for thousands of years. Think about déjà vu, that weird fleeting feeling that you've already experienced something, even though you know for sure you haven't. You might walk into a completely new room, but your brain whispers, "I've been here before." Or a friend says a sentence, and for a split second it feels like you've heard those exact words, in that exact moment, before. It's like time briefly glitches, showing you a memory that hasn't actually happened yet. Your mind seems to briefly cross wires, or for a blink, the past and present merge in a way we don't fully understand. It makes us feel like the rigid rules of time might not always apply. So, when time gets tangled, when these strange moments happen, it reminds us that there's still so much we don't know about the universe. It's a quiet whisper from the very fabric of existence, telling us that reality holds more secrets than our everyday understanding can grasp. Maybe time isn't just a simple clock ticking, but a deep, mysterious song, with verses that sometimes repeat, and melodies that echo across different moments. These odd feelings encourage us to look closer, to wonder, and to find a strange beauty in the things that feel just a little bit impossible. The island that moves half. You ever looked at a map and thought about how fixed everything seems? Countries, continents, islands, they're just there, solid, unchanging. But what if a piece of land, an entire island, just moved, not because of an earthquake, but just drifted, slowly, like a leaf on water? There's a place in Argentina where this exact mystery exists. It's called El Ojo, which means the eye. Imagine a nearly perfect circle of land, green and floating, inside a larger, perfectly round pool of clear water. Here's the thing. This island, this eye, actually moves. It rotates slowly, shifting its position within the bigger water circle. Scientists used drones, took measurements. They still can't explain why it spins, or why it's so perfectly round. It's not just reeds, it's solid ground. People have long felt that land is steady. It's our anchor, where homes are built. Ancient people might have seen something like this and felt both wonder and a strange fear. It challenges what we think we know about the earth. It's like watching a huge, heavy rock float on water when you know rocks sink. Think about a small toy boat in a bathtub. It floats. It moves with the currents you make. Now imagine that boat is a chunk of solid earth, and the bathtub is a natural lake. It shifts, it turns, and you can't see what's pushing it. It's a quiet, mysterious dance. This strange island reminds us our world holds incredible secrets. Even the ground beneath us, feeling strong and predictable, can hold deep mysteries. It makes us pause, remembering there's so much more to discover, so much that doesn't fit neatly. And maybe that's okay. Maybe the beauty is in the not knowing, in the wonder. People who sleep for too long. Have you ever thought about how much of our lives we spend asleep? It's like a quiet, secret journey we all take each night. But what if that journey never really ended? What if someone slept, not just for a night, or even a day, but for weeks, months, or even years? This isn't just about feeling extra tired or needing a long nap. It's about a rare and deep kind of sleep, where people stay lost in dreams, far longer than seems possible. Imagine the world moving on without you, like a river flowing past a still stone. For centuries, stories have whispered about sleepers who woke to a changed world, like Rip Van Winkle, who dozed off for 20 years and found everything new and strange when he opened his eyes. These tales make us wonder about time itself. What does it mean to be alive, to truly experience life, if you're not awake to see it? Here's the thing. Our bodies need sleep to heal and reset, like charging a phone. Most of us plug in for 8 hours, maybe a bit more. But for some, it's as if their body's charger never stops. They just keep pulling power, staying in that deep, quiet state. It's not laziness. It's often a mysterious condition that doctors are still trying to understand. Think of it like a computer that just won't wake up from sleep mode, even when you press all the buttons. It's connected, it's running, but it's not truly present. It makes you pause and think, doesn't it? About the preciousness of each waking moment, the sounds, the colors, the simple act of being here, right now. For those who sleep for too long, the world continues its dance without them. It reminds us that our time awake, with all its joys and challenges, is a gift. A fleeting, beautiful gift that we hold in our hands, meant to be lived and seen, not just dreamed away. The air that turns icy cold. Have you ever walked into a spot, maybe in an old house, or even just a hallway, and felt a sudden, sharp chill? A breath of icy air, when there's no window open, no door ajar, and everyone else seems warm. It's a strange feeling, like the air itself decided to shiver, just for a moment. This isn't just a draft. We're talking about those mysterious pockets of cold that science hasn't quite explained. Imagine stepping from a warm, sunny sidewalk into a tiny, invisible patch of air that feels like winter. It's a whisper from the world, a quick drop in temperature that makes no sense. For centuries, people have felt these unexplained chills. Some might have believed it was a ghost passing by, a spirit making its presence known. Others simply wondered, feeling that odd, unsettling cold wash over them. There's something deeply human about trying to find a reason for things we can't see or touch. We want to understand. Here's the thing. Sometimes, our own bodies give us a similar feeling. Think about when you're really scared or surprised. A cold wave can rush over you, a sudden chill even in a warm room. Your blood feels like it drains away. That's your body reacting to something big. But what if the air itself just decides to do that? What if it's not our body, but the very space around us, that suddenly changes its mind? These icy patches remind us there's so much we still don't understand about our world, about the very air we breathe. They make us pause, feel a little small, and wonder about the quiet secrets the atmosphere holds. It's a reminder that even with all our knowledge, some things still just are, and maybe that's okay. It leaves space for a little awe, a little mystery, in the everyday. It shows us that wonder is always waiting, just around the corner, or in a sudden cold spot. Messages from beyond the stars. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, really looked, and wondered if anyone else is out there? Is anyone else staring back from a distant star, feeling the same quiet wonder, the same deep questions? For thousands of years, humans have gazed at the endless cosmos, imagining other worlds. Ancient storytellers spun tales of gods and creatures living on distant planets, a quiet yearning in their hearts to not be alone in this vast emptiness. Today, that ancient dream has transformed into a real, patient search. We've built incredible ears, giant radio telescopes that can pick up the faintest whispers from across the universe. These aren't just for listening to radio shows. They're designed to sift through the cosmic hum, searching for an intelligent pattern, a structured pulse, something that clearly isn't natural static. It's like standing on a tiny, isolated island in a huge ocean. You send out a message in a bottle, hoping someone, somewhere, will find it. And at the same time, you're constantly scanning the horizon, straining your eyes for the smallest flicker of light from another distant shore, a signal that someone else is out there too. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's a real endeavor, full of hope and long nights of patient listening. Scientists and dreamers dedicate their lives to this silent vigil, knowing that a single beep or a complex series of pulses could change everything we understand about ourselves and our place in the universe. What if we finally heard something? A greeting, a mathematical code, a snippet of a song from a civilization billions of miles away. And here's the thing about this search. Even if we never actually receive a clear message, the act of looking, of listening, changes us. It stretches our minds beyond our everyday lives. It reminds us of our incredible curiosity. It pulls us out of our small corners of the world and makes us think about the grand scale of existence. It makes us wonder about the kind of message we would send if we were reaching out from our own blue marble into the vast, silent, starlit, dark. That wondering, that hope for connection, is a message in itself. Ancient devices that still work. Have you ever thought about things made a very, very long time ago? Things built before computers, before electricity, even before many tools we think of as basic today. It's strange, but some of these ancient creations still exist, and more than that, some still work. They stand as silent proof of ancient minds. Here's the thing. People thousands of years ago were incredibly smart. They observed the world, they figured things out, and they built amazing devices. Some were simple tools for farming, some for telling time, and some were so complex they seem almost magical to us now. It's like finding a super old, forgotten clock that, once cleaned, starts ticking again, perfectly keeping time as if no years had passed. How could ancient hands craft something so intricate, so enduring? Imagine a machine, built over 2,000 years ago, that could track the sun, the moon, and even predict eclipses. It was like a very early computer, a super smart clock made of dozens of bronze gears. Think about what it took to design and build something so precise, without the factories and technology we have today. This is why it matters. It reminds us that cleverness isn't new. It's always been a deep part of being human. It tells us that ancient people had a grasp of science and engineering that sometimes we still struggle to fully understand. When we see these ancient devices that still function, it's more than just cool history. It makes you wonder about the brilliant minds that created them. It makes you think about how much deep knowledge was passed down, piece by piece, and how some of it might have been lost to time. But also, it makes you feel a quiet, powerful connection to those people from long, long ago. Their ideas, their incredible skill, their sheer will to understand the world and make sense of its patterns. It reaches across centuries, a soft echo of enduring genius from the distant past. It's a beautiful thought that their work, their understanding, can still speak to us today. The forest that whispers secrets. Have you ever walked deep into an old forest and felt a quiet hush settle all around you, like the trees themselves were holding their breath, or maybe even sharing a secret? It's a strange feeling. The air itself seems to remember stories, centuries old, that we can't quite hear. Science tries to explain everything. It measures bark, leaves, soil, and wind, and it explains a lot. But what about that feeling? That sense of a deep, ancient presence, almost like a whisper on the breeze, just beyond what we can touch or measure. People have felt this for thousands of years. Long before history, ancient cultures saw forests as sacred. They believed spirits lived there, or trees were wise elders. Think of old myths and fairy tales. Hidden magic often happened deep within the woods. We seek wonder in places older than ourselves. It's like the quiet power of an ancient monument. This quiet knowing isn't something we can put under a microscope. It's more like when an old song gives you a big feeling you can't quite name, or when you walk into an old house and sense echoes of lives lived there, even if you don't know why. Our brains always look for answers, but sometimes the answer is just a feeling. It's a deep hum from the world itself. So here's the thing. Maybe some secrets aren't meant to be shouted, but gently whispered. The forest doesn't give us facts. Instead, it offers a quiet kind of wonder. It reminds us there are still mysteries, things we can only feel with our hearts, not just understand with our minds. And maybe that's okay. Maybe some of the most beautiful truths are found in those soft, unexplained whispers. Clouds that look like something else. Have you ever looked up at the wide open sky? Did you find yourself seeing shapes in the drifting clouds? Maybe a mighty dragon, wings spread wide, or a fluffy sheep grazing on an invisible field. Perhaps even a friendly face smiling down. Here's the thing. Our minds often play a gentle trick on us when we look at the clouds. We call it parry. It just means our brains are really good at finding patterns and familiar things in random, unconnected shapes. For as long as humans have looked up, we've found meaning in the clouds. Ancient people saw gods and spirits in the swirling mists. They thought these figures were messages, stories told across the vast canvas of the sky. It's like our ancestors were trying to read a giant, ever-changing book written by the wind. This urge to find meaning, to connect with the unknown, has always been part of us. It's why we name constellations after heroes and animals, even though those stars are just dots of light, very far apart. We create stories about them. Think about it like this. When you see a familiar object, say a cartoon character, drawn with just a few lines, your brain instantly recognizes it. It fills in the gaps. Cloud watching is like that, but with nature. As the artist, your brain takes the scattered, formless vapor and paints a picture you understand. It uses your own memories and imagination. You might see a shoe, and your friend sees a ship. Both are right, in their own way. So, the next time you watch the clouds, remember this quiet magic. It's not just about what's actually there. It's about how our minds connect with the world around us. It reminds us of the human need to find beauty, to make sense of vast spaces, and to find wonder in everyday life. These fleeting shapes, dancing across the sky, invite us to pause, to dream, to see the world not just as it is, but as it could be, reflected in our own hearts. The mystery of the phantom ships. Have you ever looked at a vast empty space and felt a strange sense of wonder, maybe a little chill? What happens when something huge, something meant to hold life, like a mighty ship, is found completely empty. This is the mystery of the phantom ships. Imagine a giant vessel, miles from shore, just drifting. Its sails might be torn, or maybe it looks perfectly fine, as if the crew just stepped away for a moment. But here's the thing, no one is there, not a soul. Food might be left on tables, tools might be out, but the people are simply gone. These aren't just old tales. Sailors have reported seeing these ghostly images for hundreds of years. Sometimes, these ships seem to appear and then vanish again, like a dream you can't quite hold on to. Why do these stories stay with us? It touches on a deep human fear, disappearing without a trace. Think about it. It's like walking into your school at lunchtime, but the hallways are completely silent, empty. All the doors are open, the lights are on, but no one is anywhere. No one left a note, no sound, just the quiet hum of the building. That feeling of sudden, unexplained absence. That's what a phantom ship feels like. But on the vast, lonely ocean, these mysteries remind us that not everything has a neat answer. The ocean is huge, and it holds secrets we might never fully understand. Phantom ships whisper to us about journeys taken and lost, about the unknown parts of our world. They make us pause and feel the quiet wonder of things that simply are, without needing an explanation. And sometimes, that quiet wonder is a powerful feeling all its own. What makes people float? Have you ever just let go in the water, in a pool or a calm lake, and felt yourself slowly rise to the surface? It's a strange, soft feeling, almost like the world is holding you up. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How does something as solid as a human body, or even a giant metal ship, manage to float when a small rock sinks? Here's the thing, it's not magic, but a gentle law of physics called buoyancy. It's about how much space something takes up, compared to how much it weighs, which we call its density. If an object is less dense than the water around it, it will float. If it's more dense, it sinks. A long time ago, a brilliant thinker named Archimedes had a famous eureka moment. He realized that when you put something in water, the water pushes back up on that object. This upward push, this lifting force, is exactly equal to the weight of the water that the object pushes out of its way. So, if the water you push aside weighs more than you do, you float. Think about a massive steel ship. Steel is incredibly heavy, right? A steel ball would drop straight to the bottom, but a ship is shaped like a giant, hollow ball. That shape makes it push away, or displace, an enormous amount of water. That displaced water weighs much, much more than the ship itself. So, the water underneath has enough strength to hold the ship up, keeping it buoyant. It's like the ocean is having a silent conversation with the ship, offering support. It makes you think about how we carry ourselves, doesn't it? Sometimes, life can feel heavy, like we're filled with rocks, ready to sink. But the principle of floating reminds us that even when we feel weighed down, there's always a way to find lightness. It's about how we arrange ourselves, how we interact with the world around us. Maybe it's about letting go, finding our own inner air, and allowing the natural currents of support to lift us up. There's a quiet strength in understanding what can hold us, even when we feel too heavy to rise. Rocks that seemed alive. Have you ever looked at an old stone, perhaps one worn smooth by time, and felt a quiet mystery about it? We usually think of rocks as solid, still, and unchanging. But what if some rocks aren't quite so simple? What if they seem to grow? Here's the thing. In certain parts of the world, like a specific village in Romania, there are strange stones called trovonts. These aren't just any rocks. After it rains, they can swell up, getting larger, almost like they're breathing in the water. Some even sprout smaller, new stones from their sides, much like a plant sending out a shoot. They do this very slowly, over many years, but the change is real. For people who don't know the science, it's easy to wonder if these rocks are somehow alive. Think about how a tiny sugar crystal in a cup of water can slowly grow bigger. It's not alive, but it builds itself, piece by piece, from the water around it. These trovant rocks work in a similar way, collecting minerals from the rainwater, and expanding. For centuries, people have felt a connection to the natural world, seeing spirits in trees or feeling a power in mountains. This idea that non-living things could hold a kind of life or energy isn't new. It's a very old human wonder, seen in ancient stories from all over the world. These growing rocks make us pause and consider our neat categories. What truly defines life? Is it movement, growth, reproduction? These rocks challenge our easy answers. They remind us that the world is filled with things that don't fit perfectly into our boxes, and that's okay. Sometimes, the most beautiful parts of science are the mysteries themselves, the moments when nature whispers a riddle we can only stand and wonder at. Maybe these strange rocks are just a gentle reminder. The universe has so many quiet wonders, just waiting for us to feel their mystery. The ghost of the old road. Have you ever walked somewhere quiet, like an old path or an empty building, and felt something? Maybe a chill, or a strange echo of people who aren't there anymore. The air feels like it holds a secret. This feeling, this mystery, often brings us to the idea of a ghost. But what if it's not a person in a sheet, but something softer, much deeper? Here's the thing. For centuries, people everywhere have talked about places holding on to the past. It's in old campfire stories and hushed whispers about ancient castles. They didn't always see ghosts as scary figures. Sometimes, they were just impressions, like a faded photograph left in the air. It's a quiet idea that intense moments, strong emotions, or lives lived in one spot might leave an invisible mark, like the energy never truly disappears. Think about your favorite old t-shirt. It's soft and worn. It smells like home, maybe like that special day you wore it. It's just fabric, but it holds many memories. Or imagine a classic song, even played softly on an old radio. It brings back feelings. Moments the song is just sounds, but it carries a world of emotion. Places can be like that too. The ground, old trees, the stones of a house they've witnessed so much. So, when we talk about a ghost on an old road, maybe we're not talking about a visible figure. Perhaps it's the lingering echo of journeys taken, of laughter, of quiet, tears. It's the memory of life itself, woven into the fabric of the place. It asks us to pause, to listen not just with ears, but with hearts, to the silent stories the world tells. And it reminds us that every step we take, every moment we live, leaves its own quiet, lasting impression. Pictures that change on their own. Have you ever looked at an old painting, perhaps a portrait from long ago, and felt like the eyes were following you? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? As if the art itself holds a quiet secret, subtly shifting. When you aren't directly watching, people have told stories for centuries about pictures where a smile seems to deepen, or a shadow in the corner appears to move. Not through any trick of light, but something deeper, something our current understanding struggles to grasp. For a long time, people have wondered about this. In old castles, portraits were sometimes said to watch over the halls. They didn't have cameras, but they knew how light and shadow could play tricks. They also knew art could feel like it held a piece of someone's spirit. This idea has puzzled thinkers for centuries. Is it just our minds playing games, or something subtle we don't understand yet? Here's the thing, our brains are powerful. Imagine looking at a cloud. One moment, you see a sheep. The next, a ship. The cloud hasn't changed, but your mind has created a new shape. It's like how a familiar street can look different depending on your mood, or how a song brings back different memories each time you hear it. Our own inner world influences what we observe. So, when a picture seems to change before your eyes, maybe it's not just the picture shifting. Perhaps it's something within us. It could be our shifting perspective, our feelings, or even the passage of time affecting how we interpret the world. It's a quiet reminder that what we see is often a mix of what is truly there and what our minds bring to it. And that, in itself, is a beautiful and mysterious thing. The door that leads to nowhere. Have you ever looked at something and felt a quiet puzzle unfold in your mind? Like a hallway in an old building that simply ends in a solid wall, with no door, or a staircase that climbs up and up, only to stop in the middle of a room, leading to nowhere at all. This feeling, this strange sense of a path without a destination, is what we think about when we talk about a door that leads to nowhere. It's not just about a physical door. It's about a mystery that exists, clearly visible, yet defies any logical purpose. For thousands of years, people have pondered things that don't fit neatly into their understanding of the world. Ancient stories are full of impossible places, sudden disappearances, and objects that seem to have no true beginning or end. We humans like order. We like to know why things are, and where they go. But sometimes, they just are, and they go nowhere we can understand. Think about finding a single old key in a forgotten drawer in your house. It's clearly a key, designed to open something, to grant access. You might try it on every lock you own, the front door, the shed, an old chest, but it fits none of them. It feels important, like it should unlock a secret. Yet it remains a key to nothing, a silent promise unfulfilled. This key, in its own way, is a tiny, everyday door that leads to nowhere. It exists, it has a form, but its purpose is missing, its destination unknown. And that's the quiet wonder of these strange events. They remind us that the universe holds corners we haven't explored, questions we can't answer, and perhaps some paths that simply vanish into thin air. It's okay not to have every answer. Sometimes the beauty is in the mystery itself, in the soft whisper of the unknown. It shows us that reality is far bigger and stranger than we often imagine. Sounds from inside the earth. Have you ever just stopped, really stopped, and listened to the earth beneath your feet? Not the wind or the rustling leaves, but something deeper, a sound that might come from inside the planet itself. It's a strange idea, because we usually think of the ground as silent, solid rock. But here's the thing. Our planet is a living, breathing giant, always in motion, and sometimes it seems to hum or rumble in ways that science can't quite explain. For centuries, people have shared stories about mysterious sounds coming from deep within the earth. Think about ancient cultures living close to the land. They might have heard these low thrums, these strange vibrations. They often imagined powerful gods moving underground, or sleeping beasts stirring beneath the soil. They tried to make sense of the unknown, giving a voice to something so vast and mysterious. It's like how, when you're in an old house at night, and it makes a creaking sound, you know it's just the house settling. But your mind might quickly imagine something more. The earth is like an ancient, massive house, always settling, always shifting in its sleep. Sometimes special listening equipment, like sensitive microphones, picks up these deep, almost infrasonic sounds, frequencies too low for human ears to hear. They're like the soft, constant pulse of a body, felt more than heard. But here's what's puzzling. Some of these sounds don't match any known geological activity, like earthquakes or volcanic movements. They just are. They float up from the deep, a constant quiet whisper from beneath our feet. So what do these unexplained sounds tell us? Maybe they are just natural vibrations we haven't fully mapped yet, a symphony we're only beginning to hear. Or perhaps they are a constant reminder that our world is far more alive and complex than we often realize. It reminds us there's still so much magic left in the universe, so many quiet mysteries waiting just beyond our understanding. And that, in itself, is a kind of beautiful music, a quiet promise of wonder. The boy who spoke old languages. Have you ever wondered if there are memories hidden deep inside us, not from our own lives, but from long, long ago? Imagine a small voice inside your mind that suddenly, mysteriously, starts speaking words you've never heard, in a language no one around you understands. But here's the thing, these aren't new words, they're ancient. They belong to a time when different people walked the earth, speaking sounds that have long faded from common use. This is the strange story of the boy who spoke old languages. Imagine a child suddenly speaking a language nobody uses anymore. Ancient Hebrew, Aramaic, even older, forgotten tongues. How could a young mind, never exposed to these sounds, just know them? It's not like learning in school. This is like remembering something you never learned. These stories make us think deeply about the human mind. For centuries, thinkers have asked, where does knowledge come from? Is it only what we learn, or can it be something passed down, something almost woven into our very being? It's a bit like that feeling when you hear a brand new song, but a deep part of you feels like you've known the melody forever. Only, instead of a song, imagine it's an entire language, filled with sounds and meanings lost to time. Could our minds hold echoes of our shared human past? So, these unusual stories make us pause. They hint that our understanding of memory, of history, and even of ourselves, might be far more complex than we imagine. It suggests that perhaps, in the quietest parts of our minds, echoes of forgotten ages still live. This connects us all to a story much older and wider than any single lifetime. It's a gentle mystery, inviting us to wonder about the silent histories we might carry inside us. Light that moves too fast. Have you ever thought about how fast light travels? We often imagine light as instant, like flipping a switch and the room is bright. But here's the thing, light has a speed limit, a cosmic speed limit, actually. For A long time, scientists, like Albert Einstein, showed us that light in a vacuum, empty space, moves at the fastest possible speed anything can go. Nothing we know of is supposed to go faster. This idea became a basic building block for how we understand the universe, how time and space work. It's a rule that seems to hold everything together. But what if, sometimes, light acts like it's breaking its own rule, not truly going faster than the speed limit, but doing things that make us scratch our heads, things that seem to defy what we know. Imagine you have two identical guitar strings. You pluck one, and it vibrates, making a sound. Now, imagine if the other identical string, miles away, suddenly started vibrating too. At the exact same moment, with the exact same strength, without any sound waves or signals traveling between them. It's like they're connected by an invisible, instant link, faster than any message could physically travel. This isn't just a fun thought experiment. In the world of tiny particles, light sometimes behaves in ways that puzzle even the smartest minds. Scientists have seen particles of light, called photons, acting like they're communicating instantly across vast distances. It's as if they know what the other is doing, without any time passing for a signal to cross the space between them. This strange connection, known as quantum entanglement, suggests there's a deeper, more mysterious layer to reality than we understand. So, when we look at light that seems to move too fast, or act in ways that don't make sense, it reminds us how much wonder is still out there. It teaches us that even when we think we know all the rules, the universe always has new secrets to reveal, new ways to surprise us. And that's a beautiful thought, isn't it? That there's always more to learn, more to explore, right here in our own universe. The city beneath the waves. Have you ever wondered about what lies hidden, just out of sight? Not under your bed, but far, far deeper. Imagine entire cities, once bustling with life, now resting in the silent, cold embrace of the ocean. It's a strange thought, isn't it? A whole world, forgotten, swallowed by the waves. For centuries, people have told stories of lost lands, places like the legendary city of Atlantis, said to have sunk beneath the sea. These tales feel like myths, far-off dreams. But here's the truth. The ocean floor actually holds secrets like this. Scientists have found the remains of ancient ports and towns, now submerged because sea levels changed over thousands of years. Think about how a sandcastle you build at the beach, strong and tall for a moment, slowly gets washed away by the tide until only a faint outline remains. Or how an old photograph fades, the faces becoming softer, harder to see clearly. These sunken cities are like ghosts of the past. They remind us that nothing lasts forever in the exact same way. The grand buildings, the busy streets, the voices, all now belong to the deep. They speak of a time when the land was different, when the maps of the world looked nothing like ours. It makes you think about how small we are, and how powerful nature can be. The ocean doesn't care about our plans, or our greatest creations. It simply takes what it takes, slowly, quietly. So, when we think of these lost cities, it's not just about mystery. It's about a deep understanding of time passing. It's about remembering that even the biggest things can vanish, leaving only whispers in the water. And maybe, it teaches us to appreciate the present, knowing how much can change. Animals that build amazing things. Have you ever stopped to really look at a bird's nest, or wondered how a tiny ant colony becomes a sprawling city underground? It's pretty amazing, right? We build things with plans, with tools, after years of learning. But in the quiet corners of our world, animals create structures that baffle us. They don't go to engineering school. They don't have blueprints or construction crews. Yet, they build homes, traps, and whole communities that are masterpieces of design. Think about the humble beaver. It cuts down trees, dams, rivers, and builds lodges that are like fortresses. And it does this not just for shelter, but to create a deeper, safer pool of water for its family. Or consider the tiny weaver bird, which crafts incredibly intricate nests, sometimes with multiple rooms and secret entrances, all from bits of grass and twigs. How do they know how to do this? We might say it's instinct, a built-in knowledge passed down through generations. But that word, instinct, sometimes feels like a simple answer to a very deep question. It doesn't quite explain the precise artistry, the perfect calculations, or the sheer effort these creatures put in. It's as if they carry an ancient wisdom, a silent blueprint in their very being that we can't quite understand. It's like when you have a feeling about something, a gut instinct, but imagine that feeling guiding every single move you make to build something complicated, without error. It's a kind of knowing that goes beyond words or lessons. These animal architects remind us that the world holds many different kinds of intelligence, many ways of knowing, and sometimes the most profound wisdom is found not in textbooks, but in the quiet, persistent work of a spider spinning its web, or a termite building its towering mound. It makes you wonder about the deep, unseen forces that shape life on Earth, doesn't it? Forces that whisper instructions we can only admire, but not fully grasp. The ship found far from water. Have you ever seen something that just didn't belong? Like a big, sturdy boat, meant for sailing the wide open sea, found sitting alone in the middle of a dry, dusty desert. It sounds like something from a dream, or a tall tale. But across our planet, there have been times when ships, sometimes quite old, have been discovered miles and miles from any ocean or large lake. Think about that for a moment. A ship built to float, designed for waves and currents, somehow ends up stranded on dry land, far from any shoreline. How does such a thing even happen? It challenges everything we know about how the world works. These discoveries make us wonder about powerful forces long ago. Was there a flood so huge it swept a ship inland, then receded, leaving it behind? Did the land itself shift and change, perhaps slowly lifting the seabed where a ship once rested, until it became dry ground? It's like finding a seashell on a mountaintop. You know seashells belong in the ocean, right? So, finding one so high up makes you think about ancient seas covering that land. The ship in the desert, though, is much larger than a seashell. It forces us to imagine a completely different past, a time when the world looked vastly different from how it does now. These strange findings invite us to be curious, to wonder about the silent stories the land holds. They tell us that even when we think we understand everything, there are still deep secrets hidden in plain sight, waiting for us to notice them and simply ponder their existence. They show us that some things remain a beautiful, quiet mystery, reminding us of the vastness of time and the unknown. Dreams that show the future. Have you ever woken up from a dream, and it felt so real, almost like a memory of something that hadn't happened yet? Then, days or weeks later, that very thing actually happens, just as you saw it in your sleep. It's a strange feeling, a quiet sense of wonder. This idea that dreams might show us glimpses of the future is called precognitive dreaming. It's a puzzling experience where the lines of time seem to blur. For thousands of years, people have seen dreams as important messages, hints of what's to come. Here's the thing, science doesn't fully explain this. Our brains are incredibly busy, even when we're asleep, processing all kinds of information. Sometimes, our minds pick up on small, unnoticed clues in daily life. They piece them together like a super smart detective in a dream. Say you dream about a conversation with a friend. Your brain, hearing bits or seeing clues, forms that dream. When the conversation happens, it feels like a prediction. But it could just be your mind linking subtle information. But then, sometimes, a dream feels too specific, too unlikely to be just a guess. That's where the deepest questions lie. It makes us pause and reflect on the true reach of our minds. Perhaps, dreams are just quiet spaces for our thoughts to play. Or maybe, just maybe, they hint at a connection to a bigger, unseen pattern. A soft reminder that some things are still beautifully beyond our understanding, inviting us to simply feel the quiet wonder of it all. The strange case of the vanishing lake. Have you ever stopped to think about what it feels like when something truly big, something you thought was always there, just isn't? Imagine a calm morning, the sun rising, and you look out at a lake you've known your whole life. You see its shimmering surface, maybe ducks paddling, or sunlight glinting off the water. But then, one day, that lake is gone. Not just low, not just a little smaller, gone, a vast, empty space where water once held silent stories. This isn't a fairy tale. Our world has seen such strange events, places where large bodies of water, sometimes covering many miles, have simply vanished. One day, full of life, the next, a dry, dusty bowl. It's like the earth itself decided to pull a magic trick, and we're left scratching our heads. For centuries, humans have looked at nature, believing some things are constant. The mountains, the sky, the endless flow of rivers, a lake, a big bowl of collected water, feels like one of those constants. When it disappears, it shakes something deep inside us. It makes us question what we truly understand about the ground beneath our feet, about the very water that gives us life. Think about a time you had a favorite drawing or a project on your desk, and you stepped away for a moment. When you came back, it was just gone. Not moved, not hidden, but truly vanished. That sudden, empty feeling, the confusion, the quiet wonder of how did that happen? That's a tiny echo of what it might feel like to witness a vanishing lake. It's a moment that reminds us of the delicate dance between presence and absence. The world doesn't always follow the rules we expect. Sometimes it just shows us a quiet, empty space where something beautiful used to be, whispering a lesson about change and the vast unknown forces that shape our planet. And in that quiet emptiness, there's a chance to feel wonder, to truly marvel at the silent mysteries that unfold around us, even when we can't explain them. Things that appear out of thin air. Have you ever stopped to wonder, truly wonder, if something could just appear, not magically, not like a trick, but simply be there when it wasn't a moment before? It's a strange thought, right? Most of the time, we expect everything to have come from somewhere. A seed grows into a plant, a drawing starts with a blank page. Things follow a path, but what if some things don't? For thousands of years, people have looked up at the stars or down at the ground and felt a deep sense of mystery. They saw things change or new life begin, and sometimes they saw what felt like pure creation. Long ago, many thought gods or spirits simply willed things into being. Today, our science tries to explain everything with rules and reasons, and that's good. It helps us understand so much. But then, there are these other stories, these quiet whispers from the edges of what we know. Here's the thing. Sometimes objects or even events seem to show up out of nowhere. Think about when you're trying to remember a name and it feels like it's gone forever. Then, suddenly, hours later, the name just pops into your head. Where was it hiding? It wasn't on a list. It just appeared from your own mind. That's a small, everyday kind of appearing out of thin air. On a grander scale, some events baffle even the brightest minds because there's no clear cause, no obvious path for them to have followed. It makes you think about how little we truly grasp. Maybe the world isn't as solid and predictable as we often believe. Maybe there are layers to reality we haven't even dreamed of yet. It doesn't mean we should stop searching for answers, but it does invite us to feel okay with not knowing everything. It asks us to hold on to that sense of wonder, that feeling that there might be beautiful, impossible things waiting to surprise us, just beyond what we can explain. The world, in its deepest corners, is still full of quiet, breathtaking mysteries. The mountain that calls people. Have you ever felt drawn to a place, a spot on the map, almost like it was quietly asking you to visit? Not with words you can hear, but with a deep, silent pull. Some mountains are like that. They seem to have a strange, quiet power, an invitation you feel deep inside. It's a mysterious feeling, isn't it? That a huge, unmoving mass of rock could somehow call to a person. For centuries, across many cultures, people have felt this undeniable pull from certain mountains. Think about the old stories, the ancient beliefs. Many saw these towering peaks as sacred spots where spirits lived, or where you could feel closer to the natural world. Heroes in myths often journeyed to high mountains to find wisdom, face a test, or simply to understand something deeper. It's like these giant, silent sentinels held secrets, or a quiet kind of magic, waiting for someone to truly listen. Here's the thing. This pull isn't just a myth. It's a bit like when you see a difficult math problem, and even though it seems tough, something inside you just has to try and figure it out. Or when you hear a song that moves you so much, you feel a need to listen to it again and again. The mountain doesn't literally speak words. Instead, it sparks something deep within your own sense of wonder. It's a desire to explore, to understand, to stand in awe. So is it the mountain truly calling out, or is it a part of us responding to its incredible size, its mystery, the calm strength it holds? Maybe these feelings remind us of our place in the vast, beautiful world. They might make us wonder about what we're capable of, or what amazing things wait just beyond the horizon. It's less about a spoken voice, and more about a deep feeling, a quiet, powerful wonder that connects us to something ancient and grand. And that, really, is a strange and beautiful thing. Glowing orbs in the night. Have you ever wondered about the quiet mysteries that emerge when the sun goes down? when the world goes quiet. Imagine standing outside in the dark, maybe on a calm, moonless night, and seeing a light, not a distant streetlight or a car, but a soft, round glow, hovering where no light should be. These are the glowing orbs, lights seen across the world that science, for now, can't fully explain. They drift without a sound, sometimes pulsing gently like a slow heartbeat, sometimes just holding perfectly still in the air. People have watched them float effortlessly over fields, through forests, or even high up in the quiet sky. It's not a plane, and it's certainly not anything that makes immediate sense with what we usually understand about how light works or how objects move. No engine, no visible source, just pure, unexplained light. For hundreds of years, humans have told stories about lights like these. In old folk tales from many cultures, they were often called willow, the wisps, or ghost lights. People back then sometimes thought they were the spirits of the land, or even mischievous fairies trying to lead travelers astray. When the world felt bigger and more mysterious, a strange light in the darkness made people feel wonder, or sometimes a shiver of fear. They tried to give meaning to what they couldn't understand, connecting it to magic or the deepest unknown parts of the world. Think about how a dandelion seed, light as air, can just drift on the wind. Now imagine that drifting dandelion seed, glowing with its own soft light, moving with a silent purpose that isn't quite the wind. It's like looking at a single star in the night sky, but this one is close, and it moves, almost thoughtfully. It makes you feel small, yet connected to something vast and old. So, when we talk about these glowing orbs, we're not just talking about light, we're talking about the edges of our understanding, moments when the world whispers a secret we can't quite grasp, and that's okay. Sometimes, the most beautiful parts of life are the ones that remain a quiet question, a gentle reminder that there's always more to wonder about, more to feel, and more to explore, even if we never find all the clear answers. The world holds its mysteries close, and in those unexplained moments, we discover a different kind of truth, the truth of wonder. The woman who never aged. What if the clock inside you just stopped? Imagine waking up each day looking exactly the same, while everyone around you changed. This isn't a comic book power. For some, it's a strange reality. We're talking about people who, due to rare conditions, seem to defy time itself. One of the most talked about cases is Brooke Greenberg. For years, she remained like a baby, even as she grew older by the calendar. Her body didn't age the usual way. Think about it. Our understanding of time is simple. Birth, growth, old age, then the end. That's how life goes. But her story, and others like it, make us wonder about that path. Ancient thinkers, like Greek philosophers, pondered time. They saw it as a river flowing in one direction. But what if, for some, that river slows to a trickle, or even stops, in certain ways? It's like when you pause a video game. The characters stay frozen, but outside the screen, your time keeps moving. Or a rare plant that blooms once every 100 years, while all the plants around it blossom every spring. Their internal clock is just wired differently. For Brooke, her cells didn't get the grow-up memo other cells did. It's not that she was immortal, but her body's march through time was incredibly slow in development. So when we hear about someone who never ages, it makes us pause. It reminds us that our bodies hold so many mysteries. It makes us think about how precious and strange each moment is. Maybe time isn't always the straight line we think it is for everyone. These stories don't give us answers about how to stop aging, but they do something important. They open our minds to the vast, unexplained wonders of being alive. They invite us to look closer at what we think we know, and to feel a sense of quiet wonder about it all. Unseen hands that move objects. Have you ever been alone in a quiet room, and then suddenly, something shifts? Maybe a book slides off a shelf, or a picture on the wall tilts, even though no one is near it. It's a strange feeling, like unseen hands are at work, nudging objects when no clear reason can be found. Here's the thing. Throughout history, people have puzzled over such moments. Long ago, many believed in spirits, mischievous or otherwise, moving things around. Some philosophers wondered if there were hidden energies, powers we couldn't see, that could influence the world around us. It's a deep question. Really, if everything has a cause, what causes something to move when we see no physical touch? Think about it like this. You place a pencil on your desk. If it rolls off, you might check if the desk is uneven, or if you bumped it. but imagine it just floats a little, then drops. That's the mystery. Our minds are built to find patterns, to find reasons for everything. When we can't, it leaves a space, a curious emptiness. It's like when you're trying to understand a complicated math problem, and one part just doesn't fit. Your brain keeps trying to solve it, even if the answer isn't obvious. So, when we talk about objects moving on their own, we're stepping into that space of the truly unexplained. It's not about fear, it's about wonder. It reminds us that our understanding of the universe, vast as it is, might still have entire chapters yet unwritten, and that's okay. There's a quiet beauty in the things we don't yet grasp, a gentle nudge telling us to stay curious, to keep looking closer at the unseen, unexpected parts of life. The place where compass needles spin. Have you ever felt truly lost? Not just missing a street, but that deep, unsettling feeling when the very tools you trust suddenly fail. Imagine holding a compass, its needle usually so steady, always pointing north. It's a simple wonder, guided by Earth's invisible magnetic heart. Our planet acts like a giant magnet, pulling that small needle into line. But what if you went to a place where that needle spun wildly, aimlessly, refusing to settle? These are real spots on Earth. In these mysterious zones, the magnetic field gets confused, twisted, or is too weak to guide a compass. Sometimes it's because of strange minerals deep underground, or unique rock. The compass, our faithful guide, gives up, spinning in endless circles. It's as if the world itself is shrugging, saying, I don't know which way is up either. For centuries, people relied on compasses to cross vast oceans and explore unknown lands. Think of old sailors on tiny wooden ships against endless waves. Their lives depended on that small, unwavering needle. To find a place where it went haywire must have felt like the very fabric of reality was unraveling. It challenged their understanding of what was true. It's a bit like when you're playing a video game and suddenly a glitch happens. The map disappears, your character walks through walls, and the rules you thought you knew just stop working. That feeling of wait, this isn't right. That's the feeling. Or, imagine your phone's GPS suddenly telling you to drive into a lake, confidently pointing the wrong way. It's confusing, frustrating, because your guide is lost too. These strange spots remind us that even the most fundamental things we rely on, like the Earth's steady magnetic pull, hold mysteries. They show us that sometimes, even science, with all its answers, finds places that whisper, I don't fully understand. It's a quiet reminder to stay curious, to wonder about things we take for granted. Remember, the world holds many secrets, waiting to be explored, even if our compasses get a little dizzy along the way. A whisper in the empty house. Have you ever stepped into a quiet, empty room, where no one has been for a long time, and felt something, not a ghost, but a feeling hanging in the air? It's like the space itself holds a memory, a soft echo of what once was. It makes you wonder, can places truly remember? This isn't about spooky stories. It's about a deep sense that some feelings and moments leave a lingering energy. Imagine an old, empty playground. The swings hang still. Can't you almost hear the happy shouts of games played long ago? It's not a sound your ears pick up. It's a whisper in your heart, a feeling in the quiet. People for centuries have felt this. Ancient cultures built homes with respect for the land, believing places held stories. Think about standing in a very old forest. You might feel small, but also deeply connected to something much older. It's as if the trees and rocks have soaked up time and emotion, sharing it silently. Here's the thing, our daily lives are full of these whispers. If we listen, think about a grandparent's favorite chair. When they're not there, it's just wood. But looking at it, you might feel a warmth, their presence, a memory of stories told. That's a whisper. It's the silent imprint of love and life left behind. And that's why it matters. It reminds us that every moment, every feeling, every connection leaves a tiny, invisible mark. These whispers are not always sad. Often they are gentle reminders that nothing truly vanishes. Laughter, tears, quiet joy, they all leave a trace. They become part of a place, inviting us to pause, to feel, and to wonder at life's quiet, persistent pulse. It makes the world feel richer, full of unspoken stories. The sky that rained red. Have you ever looked up at the sky, really looked, and imagined it changing, not just from blue to grey, or sunset pink, but something truly impossible? What if the clouds opened up, and instead of clear drops, Rain fell. That was startling, vivid red. This isn't a story from a fantasy book. In 2001, in Kerala, India, something exactly like this happened. For weeks, the rain turned crimson. It stained clothes, painted streets, and filled puddles with an unnerving, blood-like color. Imagine the confusion, the fear. People didn't know what to think. Was it a sign? A curse? The end of the world? For centuries, before we had modern tools, people watched the sky for answers. A comet, or a strange color, might have seemed like a message from gods, or an omen. This red rain felt like one of those moments, something truly beyond our usual understanding. Scientists, of course, wanted answers. They collected samples, looking at them closely. At first, they thought it was dust from a faraway desert, but the tiny red particles were too unusual. It wasn't just dust. It turned out to be microscopic spores, like tiny seeds from a type of algae. Think of a strong wind sweeping up thousands of tiny dandelion seeds. But these were minuscule red bits, caught in rain clouds. Even with a scientific explanation, the event holds a kind of quiet magic. It reminds us that our world is vast and full of surprises. Sometimes, the most unbelievable things are true. And even when we find an answer, the sheer wonder of nature's strange events can leave us feeling small, yet incredibly curious. It makes you wonder what other secrets the sky might still be holding. What makes minds connect? Have you ever felt a deep pull towards someone, like you just knew what they were thinking? That quiet moment you feel totally in sync, without saying a word. This feeling of minds connecting is a true mystery. It's not magic, but deeper than talking. It's a shared understanding that flows between people. You might call it empathy, feeling what another person feels. Sometimes, two brains just click. You finish each other's sentences, or know what the other needs. People have wondered about this for ages. Ancient thinkers talked about a shared human spirit. They believed our minds weren't separate, but part of a bigger whole. Think of old stories. People felt a loved one's pain from far away, or how communities moved as one, understanding without words. We carry a piece of the same human song. Here's what I mean. Imagine you and your best friend on a project. You don't need to say much. You hand them the right tool. They know what part you're struggling with. It's like a silent language, a dance of thoughts. Maybe you see someone sad across the room. Your heart feels heavy. That's a tiny echo of minds connecting. Our brains respond to each other's subtle signals. So here's the thing, science explains brainwaves, but it can't fully explain this deep connection, this shared space where understanding just happens. It reminds us we are tied to each other in ways we don't always see. And that's why it matters. This mystery, this unspoken bond, makes our human journey less lonely and more beautiful. It's a quiet wonder, always there, if we just pay attention. The markings no one can read. Imagine finding a letter, a really old one, but the words inside are like squiggles. Not just a different language you can look up, but something totally, completely unknown. You know it's writing. You can see the shapes, but your mind can't make sense of them. That's what some markings on ancient stones or faded scrolls are like. They are messages, maybe stories, maybe warnings, but their meaning is locked away. No one alive today can read them. They are like voices from long ago, trying to speak, but the sound just isn't reaching us. For thousands of years, people have left their mark, from cave paintings to carved symbols. They wanted to remember, to teach, to share. But sometimes, a whole way of writing, a whole language, just vanishes. The people who used it are gone, and so is the key to their words. Think about ancient Egypt with its hieroglyphs. For a long time, no one understood them. Then, the Rosetta Stone was found, a key that helped unlock their secrets. But for many other writings, there's no Rosetta Stone. It's like when you have a secret code with a friend, and then you move away. After years, you find that old note. You remember the fun, but the specific pattern for hello or goodbye is just gone from your memory. You know it means something, but what? It's right there, but it's invisible to your understanding. So, these markings, they sit there, silent. They remind us how fragile knowledge can be, how much of the past can slip away, like sand through fingers. It makes you wonder, what amazing stories are hidden in those unreadable lines? What wisdom, what laughter, what sadness is trapped there, waiting for someone to finally understand? It's a humbling thought, realizing that even with all our smarts, Some whispers from history remain forever just out of reach, reminding us of the vastness of time and the beautiful, haunting mystery of all that we don't know. The road that appears and disappears. Have you ever walked a familiar path, only to have it feel completely different one day? Like the ground beneath your feet has changed. It's strange, but some people describe roads or trails that literally appear and then disappear. One moment, a clear way stretches ahead. The next, it's just forest or a field, with no trace. It's like the world decided to hide a secret passage. For a long time, people have told stories about places like this. Ancient myths often speak of hidden paths to magical realms, only showing themselves when the stars are just right, or when a traveler is truly meant to find them. It's like the world holds more than one reality, and sometimes we get a peek into another. These stories tap into a deep idea that not everything is always visible. What we see might just be one layer of a much richer, more mysterious picture. Here's the thing, our own minds sometimes create similar experiences. Think about a quiet evening walk. The streetlights are on, everything seems normal, but if you're lost deep in thought, maybe worried about something, that same familiar street can suddenly feel vast and strange, almost like a different place. The road hasn't changed, but how you see it has. It becomes a reflection of your inner world, a path that feels new, just for you, in that moment. So, what do these tales of vanishing roads tell us? Perhaps they remind us that the world is filled with wonder we often miss. Not everything needs a clear scientific answer. Sometimes, the mystery itself is the most beautiful part. It invites us to look closer, to trust our feelings, and to remember, there's always more to discover, even in ordinary places. And maybe, just maybe, some paths are only meant to be walked when our hearts are open enough to see them. Ancient stories of giants. What if, long ago, the world was walked by beings so massive they made us feel like tiny specks? Across almost every ancient culture, from the icy sagas of the Norselands to the sun-baked myths of ancient Greece, and even tribal legends whispering in the oldest forests, we find persistent tales of giants. These weren't just big people. They were often forces of nature, builders of colossal structures, or powerful, untamed enemies of gods and humans alike. Imagine standing at the base of a truly enormous mountain. You feel small, right? A little bit awestruck, maybe even a little afraid of its immense power. These stories of giants might have been our ancestors' way of explaining those grand, overwhelming feelings. They saw things in the world, huge rock formations, unexplained ruins, or the raw power of storms, and their minds imagined beings big enough to create them or embody that power. It was a way to put a face to the unexplainable, to give shape to the wild, untamed parts of their world. Think about a time you faced something that felt huge and impossible, like a really big project at school, or a problem that seemed too massive to solve. In those moments, the problem itself can feel like a giant, looming over you. Our human response is to try and understand it, to break it down, or to tell stories about it that make it less scary, or even beautiful. So, when we hear about giants, are we just listening to ancient fiction, or are we hearing faint echoes of something more? Perhaps these tales are less about giant bodies and more about the giant questions humanity has always grappled with. What lies beyond our understanding? What forces shape our world? These old stories remind us how our ancestors, just like us, tried to make sense of a world full of wonders and mysteries, connecting their inner feelings to the vastness around them. Objects that get super hot fast. Have you ever held something, perhaps a smooth stone or an old forgotten tool, and felt a strange warmth? A heat that just shouldn't be there, not from the sun, not from a fire, but as if the object itself held a quiet, secret furnace within. It's a feeling that makes you pause, a tiny mystery in your palm. Some events in our world are like this, where things get incredibly hot, incredibly fast, without any clear reason. Here's the thing, we understand a lot about how heat works. We know friction makes things warm, like rubbing your hands together. We know fire gives off heat, and so does electricity. But what about objects that simply, mysteriously, heat up on their own? Science looks for causes, for chains of events. Yet, sometimes, the chain seems invisible, the cause hidden, leaving us with a sudden, unexplainable warmth. For centuries, humans have tried to map out the rules of everything around us. From ancient thinkers observing the stars to modern scientists Studying tiny particles, we've always sought to understand why things happen. We build our understanding piece by piece, hoping to explain every shadow and every flash of light. But these quick, mysterious heatings remind us that some pieces still don't quite fit into our careful maps. Think about a phone. It gets warm when you're playing a game or watching a video, right? That's energy being used, things working hard inside. That warmth makes sense. But imagine an old book, sitting quietly on a shelf for years, suddenly becoming too hot to touch. There's no obvious power source, no activity. It's as if a hidden energy, a silent spark, awoke within it for a fleeting moment, defying our usual ways of knowing. These quiet, unexplained heats aren't something to fear. They are more like soft whispers from the universe, reminding us how much more there is to discover. They ask us to wonder, to stay curious, and to remember that the world holds many beautiful secrets, waiting patiently for us to truly see them, to question, and to learn. The river that flows uphill. Have you ever looked at something and felt your mind just twist, like it was seeing one thing, but your common sense knew it should be another? Imagine standing by a river, but instead of the water running downhill, it seems to move up, not just a little, but truly, visibly, climbing against what we know about gravity. This isn't a magic trick in a theater. Across the world, there are places called gravity hills or magnetic hills. These spots trick our eyes, making water appear to flow uphill, or a car roll upwards when you put it in neutral. For centuries, people who saw these places felt a deep sense of wonder, or even fear. They might have thought spirits were at work, or that the very fabric of the world was bending in mysterious ways. It challenged everything they understood about how things worked. Think about a time you were sure about something, absolutely certain, and then learned the truth was completely different. Maybe you misread a friend's mood, thinking they were mad when they were just quiet. Or you struggled with a math problem, convinced there was no answer, only to find a simple solution you hadn't seen. Our brains work really hard to make sense of the world, to build a steady picture, but sometimes what we see, what our senses tell us, isn't the whole story. These uphill rivers are powerful reminders of that. They make us pause and ask, what else might we be misinterpreting? What other wonders are hiding in plain sight, just because our usual ways of seeing aren't enough? It's a quiet challenge, to look deeper, to question our first thoughts, and to embrace the beautiful, sometimes confusing, mystery of existence. It reminds us that truth can be stranger, and often more wonderful, than we ever imagined. The sound of 1,000 wings. Have you ever felt a shiver? A quiet sense that something big is happening, even when you can't quite put your finger on it. It's like a gentle hum in the air, a feeling of many unseen things stirring just beyond our reach. This is often how we sense the truly strange events in life, the ones that defy easy answers. It's the quiet whisper of things we don't understand, a sound made not by actual wings, but by the collective mystery of the universe gently unfolding around us. For a long time, people have tried to make sense of these soft, strange feelings. Ancient philosophers, thinkers from long ago, often spoke of a spirit of the age, or a cosmic breath. They believed there was a shared understanding, almost an invisible current, that moved through everyone. It was like everyone was hearing the same silent song, sensing a deeper rhythm to the world, even if they couldn't name the tune. They saw it as a sign of deeper truths, things happening beyond what our senses can grasp, influences that shaped events in ways we couldn't explain. Here's the thing. Imagine you're in a big crowd, maybe at a concert or a school assembly. Suddenly, everyone seems to look in the same direction at the same time, or they all get quiet at once, even before anything noticeable happens. No one said anything, no alarm went off, but somehow, a feeling spread through the group, a shared shift in attention. It's like a tiny, unspoken message passed from mind to mind, a wave of instinct. This is similar to that sound of 1,000 wings, a subtle, collective knowing that hints at something real, yet intangible. It's the way our minds, and perhaps the world itself, pick up on hidden patterns or truths before they fully show themselves. So, when we encounter strange events that science can't yet explain, maybe it's not always about a loud bang or a flashing light. Sometimes, it's about that quiet, almost musical sense that something profound is at play, a deep resonance echoing through existence. It's a reminder that there's so much more to life than what we can measure and label. It asks us to stay open, to listen for those soft, unexplainable echoes that surround us, and to wonder at the vast, hidden beauty of the unknown. We often find the deepest questions in these quiet moments. People who see auras have. You ever looked at someone and felt like you could almost see their mood, like a quiet glow around them? Maybe they seemed bright and happy, or perhaps a little dim and sad. For some people, that feeling isn't just an idea. They say they actually see it. These are the people who see auras. An aura, they describe, is like a soft, colorful energy field, or a subtle halo that surrounds living things, people, animals, even plants. It's not something you can touch, and most of us don't see it with our regular eyes. But for those who do, it's a constant part of their world, a visible layer of energy that changes with emotions, health, or even a person's thoughts. For centuries, across different cultures, people have talked about this unseen energy. Ancient spiritual traditions in places like India and China spoke of a life force or chi that flowed through everything. Artists in the past sometimes painted halos around holy figures, almost like they were trying to show this special inner light. It's a very old idea, that there's more to us than just our physical bodies. Think about when you walk into a room, and you just feel the atmosphere. Maybe it's tense, maybe it's joyful. You don't literally see those feelings, but you sense them, right? For people who see auras, it's like they're seeing those unseen feelings and energies as actual colors and glows around a person. A bright, clear blue might mean calm, while a fiery red could show anger or passion. So, what if the world holds more colors than our eyes are usually built to see? What if some people simply have a different kind of vision, allowing them to glimpse the invisible hum of life that surrounds us all? It makes you wonder about the hidden layers of reality and how much we truly perceive. The watch that stops time. Have you ever felt time itself slow down, like a moment stretching out forever? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? Like an invisible hand has paused the universe, if just for a second. We know clocks tick steadily, but sometimes, in the world's most mysterious corners, or even in our own lives, time plays a different song. It's not about a magical watch that literally freezes everything. It's more about how time, or our experience of it, can act in truly baffling ways, almost as if something is stopping its flow. Don't think about old stories, or very real accounts, where watches suddenly stop at the exact moment a big event happens, like a distant family member passing. Or imagine a pocket watch, ticking faithfully, for decades, going silent the very second its owner takes their last breath, hundreds of miles away. It feels like more than coincidence, doesn't it? It suggests a deeper, unseen connection between things. A whisper from the universe we don't quite understand. For centuries, people have wondered about time. Is it a steady river, or a vast ocean with hidden currents? Philosophers ask if time is out there or just how our minds make sense of change. Here's the thing. Sometimes when you're really focused, like catching a difficult ball in a game, or seeing a slow-motion replay of a moment that could have been bad, your brain seems to process so much information that time seems to stretch. That's your mind, in a way, slowing down the watch. These strange events, with stopped clocks or moments when time feels weirdly stretched, make us think. They gently nudge us to remember that our world holds so many secrets. Maybe time isn't just a simple line from past to future. Maybe it's a fabric, woven with threads of connection we can't see, sometimes tightening, sometimes loosening. It reminds us to stay curious, to look at the world with soft eyes, ready to wonder at everything, even the quiet ticking or the sudden silence of a watch. Odd lights in the deep sea. Have you ever thought about the ocean's deepest, darkest places? What if, down there, far from the sun, strange lights dance and flicker? For centuries, sailors told stories of glowing patches in the waves, or sudden flashes deep below. They called them ghost lights. People wondered if it was magic, or perhaps giant creatures glowing. Here's the thing. Those lights are very real. They come from something called bioluminescence. This is when living things make their own light. It's not like a flashlight. It's a cold light, made by a chemical reaction inside their bodies. Think of tiny bacteria, jellyfish, or deep-sea fish, all with their own internal glow. They use these lights for many reasons. Some flash to attract a mate, others to scare off predators, and many use them like a secret signal, helping them hunt in the endless dark. It changed how we thought about the ocean, showing us it wasn't just a dark void. but a place alive with hidden, shimmering life. Imagine you're walking in a pitch-black room. You can't see your hand, but then a tiny glow stick appears in someone's hand. It helps you see shapes, maybe even a path. For the creatures in the deep sea, their light is even more vital. It's their sight, their voice, their way to survive. This might work for them, helping them find food or avoid danger. These odd lights remind us how much we still don't know about our planet. They are whispers from a world we barely touch. Sometimes, the most beautiful truths are found in places we can't fully see or completely understand. There's a quiet wonder in simply knowing such glowing mysteries exist, shining softly in the profound silence of the deep. It's a gentle thought. Even in the darkest corners, there is always light. The statue that cries. Have you ever looked at something completely still, like an old photograph or a silent building, and felt like it had a hidden story, a secret emotion? It's a strange feeling, like the quiet world is whispering. But what if something truly still, something made of stone or plaster, seemed to weep? Throughout history, in different parts of the world, people have told stories of statues that appear to cry. Not just a drop of water, but sometimes tears that look like blood, or oil, or even clear, shimmering liquid. Imagine standing before a silent figure, and seeing a tear slowly form in its eye, tracing a path down its cheek. For many, this isn't just a strange sight. It feels like a miracle, a message from something beyond our everyday understanding. It makes us pause and wonder if the world holds more mysteries than we can ever grasp with our usual tools. When we see something like this, our minds try to make sense of it. It's a natural human thing. Think about how you might look at a cloud and see the shape of an animal, or listen to music and feel a rush of emotion that isn't truly in the notes themselves, but in how you connect to them. We bring our own feelings and hopes to what we see. With a statue that cries, we might wonder if it's showing us grief, or pain, or even a kind of shared sorrow for the world. Is it a simple scientific explanation, like moisture in the air? Or is it a moment where our human desire for meaning finds a powerful, unexpected canvas? These crying statues remind us that some mysteries remain beautiful and unspoken. They invite us to look a little closer, to feel a little deeper, and to accept that sometimes the quietest things can hold the most profound and puzzling truths about life and emotion. They stand as silent invitations to wonder, urging us to explore the vast unknown both outside us and within our own hearts. Strange messages on the radio. Have you ever wondered what invisible whispers might be floating all around us, through the very air we breathe? We use radios for music or news, sounds sent across huge distances by unseen waves. But sometimes, a radio picks up something else, something strange, a message not meant for us, or a signal with no clear sender, a ghost voice drifting from nowhere. When radio was new, a real marvel, people spent hours twisting dials. They hoped to catch a faint voice from across an ocean. The air was thick with static, but also with mysterious, crackling sounds. It made them wonder, who else is out there broadcasting? What other messages might be riding these invisible waves, just waiting? This feeling of a vast unknown always sparks our curiosity. We send out our own signals, hoping someone might reply. Sometimes, a reply seems to come from unexpected places. Imagine you're in a busy school hallway. Everyone is talking. But then, for just a second, you catch a clear phrase from a faraway classroom. A tiny piece of conversation, not for your ears, but you heard it. What was it about? Who said it? You're left with a puzzle. Our radios can do something similar. They pick up stray signals, sometimes ones that make no sense at all. A weird hum, a repeating pulse, or a coded burst, like a distant echo from a place we can't quite pinpoint. These strange radio messages, like the famous wow signal, a sudden, strong burst from space, remind us how much we still don't understand. They show us that the universe isn't just huge, it's full of quiet mysteries, whispering in the dark. Listening to them can make us feel tiny, yet connected to something enormous and unknown. It's a gentle reminder, always more to listen for, more to wonder about, in the vast, humming silence of the cosmos. The town that vanished in a mist. Have you ever felt a memory slip away, like sand through your fingers, or woken from a dream so real, only for its vivid world to dissolve into the morning air? Imagine that feeling, but for an entire place. What if a whole town, with its quiet homes, its laughter, and its secrets, simply lifted anchor and drifted away. Not burned, not moved, but just gone, like mist in the sun. This isn't just a spooky campfire story. History holds whispers of such things. Imagine a small settlement, deep in a valley, far from other towns. People lived their lives there, tending gardens, telling stories by firelight. Then, a strange, thick mist descended, clinging for days. When it lifted, the valley was empty. Every building, every person vanished. No footprints, no belongings, just the silent earth where a community once thrived. It's a silence stretching across the land and through time. For so long, we've tried to understand everything. We map the stars, name tiny particles, chart ocean currents. Our minds reach out, touching the universe's edges. But then, these stories appear, like a forgotten melody, reminding us of limits. It's like when you lose something important, say, a favorite book. You search everywhere, but it's just gone. You know it existed. You can picture it, but it's no longer here. That absence, what should be there but isn't, can be deeply unsettling. And so, we stand before these mysteries not with fear, but with a sense of quiet wonder. The vanishing town doesn't demand an answer. It invites us to pause. It shows us that some puzzles aren't meant to be solved. Some questions are meant to linger, like the mist itself. It's a soft reminder that the world is much bigger and stranger than we often imagine, and that sometimes the most beautiful truth is simply that we don't know. There's a quiet strength in accepting the vast, unexplained spaces in our world. The object that fell from the sky. Have you ever looked up at the vast, open sky and felt a tiny shiver of wonder? What if, one day, something dropped from that sky? Something utterly strange, unlike anything we've ever known. Not a meteor, blazing and familiar, but an object that just appeared. This idea of unknown things falling to earth has always held a special kind of mystery for us. For centuries, before science could explain so much, people gazed at the heavens with a mix of awe and a little fear. When something fell, be it a strange rock or something even more bizarre, they often saw it as a message, maybe a gift from the gods, or a sign of an event to come. These moments forced us to look beyond what we understood, to consider that there might be things in the universe far grander, or stranger, than our everyday lives. It's a bit like when you find a seashell on the beach, but this shell is unlike any you've ever seen. It glows, maybe, or it's made of a material you can't identify. You pick it up, turn it over in your hands, and a quiet curiosity blossoms inside you. Where did it come from? What journey did it take to get here? This feeling, this gentle pull of the unknown, is what these falling objects often bring. Sometimes, science steps in and explains things. We learn what meteors are, or how strange weather forms. But here's the thing. Sometimes, an object falls, and even with all our knowledge, we still can't quite place it. It remains a quiet whisper of a question. These moments aren't about fear. They're a soft, humbling reminder that the universe is vast. It's a place of constant discovery, where even a simple falling object can hold unsolved questions, inviting us to keep looking up, to keep wondering. Dreams shared by many. Have you ever woken up from a dream that felt ... bigger than just you? Not just a random mix of thoughts, but something ancient, something that seemed to echo in a way you couldn't quite explain. Maybe you dreamt of falling, a sudden drop into nothingness, or being chased, or finding yourself back in a classroom you haven't seen in years. Here's the thing. Many people around the world, across different times and cultures, have dreamt these very same things. It's a strange thought, isn't it? How could strangers, living far apart, dream such similar dreams? Long ago, people wondered about this. Ancient storytellers and thinkers noticed these patterns. It's like our minds, when they drift to sleep, sometimes tap into a kind of universal storybook. Not that we're literally sharing the same dream at the same moment, but that the symbols and feelings are common to all of us. Imagine if every human mind had a secret library deep inside, and this library held a collection of old, powerful stories and images. When we dream, we might pick up one of those tales. Think about a common fear, like feeling lost or unprepared. A lot of us dream about showing up to school for a test without having studied, or being late for something important. These dreams aren't about that test. Instead, they're like our minds exploring the feeling of being overwhelmed or not ready, a feeling we all know. It's a shared emotional landscape, and that's why it matters. It reminds us that maybe, just maybe, beneath all the things that make us different, there's a deep, quiet hum of connection. Our dreams, even the weirdest ones, might be whispering stories that tie us all together. They show us that our inner worlds are not as separate as they seem. It's a gentle reminder of the mysteries woven into the very fabric of being human. The room where gravity changes. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like if gravity wasn't always the same? We usually trust that the ground will always pull us down with the same familiar strength. It's a force we learn about early on, like an invisible hand keeping everything in place. For hundreds of years, thinkers like Isaac Newton helped us understand this pull, seeing it in apples falling from trees. We believe gravity is a constant, a rule that never changes, everywhere. But what if, in certain rooms, that rule whispered something different? Imagine walking into a space where, for no clear reason, you might feel a little lighter, like you could almost float. Or perhaps you'd feel strangely heavy, as if someone had gently pushed down on your shoulders. These are the kinds of stories told about certain places on Earth, rooms where the very force of gravity seems to shift, leaving visitors puzzled and scientists scratching their heads. Think about being in a swimming pool. When you're in the water, you feel lighter, right? Like your body is easy to lift, even if you're heavy on land. That feeling of buoyancy is a change in how gravity affects you. Now, picture that happening without any water, inside a regular room, with walls and a ceiling. It goes against everything we think we know. It's like the room itself holds a quiet secret, a small defiance of a universal law. So, here's the thing. These strange rooms, whether true or just whispered tales, make us pause. They remind us that the world is still full of wonders we don't fully understand. Maybe our knowledge of how things work is just beginning, and that's okay. It's in these moments of mystery that we realize how vast and beautiful the unknown still is, inviting us to keep looking, to keep wondering. Plants that glow in the dark. Have you ever looked at a star or a firefly blinking in the night and felt a quiet wonder about light? What if plants could do that? Just imagine walking through a silent garden where the leaves themselves softly glow, casting a gentle living light onto the paths. It sounds like something from a fantasy story. But here's the thing. Science is making it real. We're talking about plants that create their own light, not just reflecting the sun. This amazing ability is called bioluminescence, and it's something we usually see in ocean creatures like deep-sea fish, or in bugs like those fireflies. But scientists have figured out how to gently borrow the genes that make these creatures glow and carefully put them into plants. So, now, some plants can actually shine on their own in the dark, a soft, ethereal light. For a long time, people have been fascinated by natural light sources. Think about ancient stories of magical forests or glowing mushrooms. In many old cultures, a light appearing where there shouldn't be one felt deeply mysterious, almost spiritual. It made people wonder about hidden powers in the world. Now, we understand the chemistry behind it, but the feeling of wonder, that hasn't changed. It's still magic, just a kind of magic we can study. It's like how some people just seem to glow from the inside out. You know, when someone is truly happy, or they've done something kind, they often seem to radiate a sort of warmth, a positive energy that brightens the whole room. They're not literally glowing, of course, but their presence feels like light. These glowing plants are a bit like that. They're quietly expressing something unexpected, a hidden life force, a gentle radiance. And so, as we think about these silent glowing leaves, we're reminded that the world holds so many quiet wonders. There are mysteries everywhere, even in the most common things, like a simple plant. It makes you think about how much beauty exists, often unseen, waiting to be discovered, or sometimes, to be gently coaxed into a soft glow. It teaches us to look closer, to feel the quiet poetry of life itself, shining in its own way. The puzzle of the lost city. Have you ever thought about something so big, so real, that it just vanished, like a whole city, full of people and homes, disappearing without a clear trace? It's a strange idea, isn't it? For centuries, people have told stories of lost cities, places swallowed by the earth or the ocean, or simply abandoned and forgotten by time. These aren't just myths. Sometimes, pieces of these once grand places are found, poking through the sand or rising from the deep, whispering secrets we can't quite hear. Here's the thing, imagining a bustling city, full of life and sounds, becoming completely silent, hidden for hundreds or thousands of years, makes you wonder about the power of time. Ancient civilizations, like some of the Mayan cities in the jungle, or forgotten settlements in the desert, remind us that even the most powerful human creations can fade away. Why did people leave? What happened to them? Often, we just don't know. The records are gone, or they were never made. Think about a favorite video game world you might have. You spend hours there, exploring every corner, building things, connecting with others. Now, imagine if one day, that game world just disappeared. Not just offline for a bit, but truly gone. All the places you visited, the memories you made, the history of that world, poof. That feeling of something important being gone, leaving only a faint echo in your mind, is a little like the mystery of a lost city. It makes you feel a quiet sadness, doesn't it? The thought of all those lives lived, all those stories untold. Now, just a deep silence. But it also shows us how small we are against the vastness of time and nature. And it reminds us to cherish the present, because even the grandest things can become just a whisper in the wind, a puzzle waiting to be found. Voices from the past. Have you ever felt like someone was trying to tell you something from a long, long time ago? Like a whisper carried on the wind, reaching across centuries. Sometimes, when we look at strange events, especially those that science struggles with, it feels like we're hearing voices from the past, not actual sounds. Of course, instead, it's about the echoes of human experience, of mysteries people faced long before us. Think about it. For thousands of years, humans have looked up at the stars, wondered about dreams, or felt a shiver down their spine in an old house. They didn't have our science, our tools, but they had minds, feelings, and they tried to make sense of the same puzzling world we live in. Their stories, their art, even their myths, are like messages they left behind. Philosophers, people who thought deeply about life, have always wondered about what we can truly know, and ancient cultures often had ways of seeing the world that included spirits or unseen forces. They weren't just making things up, they were trying to explain what they saw and felt. Here's the thing, think about a really old song your grandparents loved. Maybe it's a bit strange to your ears now, but when you hear it, you connect to a feeling, a memory of a different time. Or imagine reading an old diary. You're hearing someone's thoughts, their fears, their hopes, from years ago. You might not understand every word, but the feeling comes through. In a way, these strange events that puzzle us today are like those old songs or diaries. They carry a feeling, a question, an experience that has been around forever. So, when we face something truly strange, something science hasn't fully explained yet, maybe a part of us is listening to the countless others who also wondered, who also felt that pull of the unknown. It's a quiet connection across time, reminding us that curiosity and the mystery of life are timeless gifts we share with everyone who came before us. And that's pretty cool to think about. The animal that looks like a myth. Have you ever heard a story so strange, it felt like it couldn't possibly be true? Like a beast from an old legend, or something only found in a dream. Sometimes, the real world surprises us. It shows us creatures that feel like they leaped right out of a myth. Here's the thing. For a long time, people told tales of impossible animals. Think about dragons or unicorns. They were just stories, right? Products of imagination. But imagine a creature with the bill of a duck, the body of an otter, and the flat, paddle-like tail of a beaver. It lays eggs but also feeds its young milk, like a mammal. Sounds completely made up, doesn't it? When scientists in Europe first saw drawings, and even a preserved specimen of this animal in the late 1700s, they were sure it was a trick. They truly believed someone had stitched different animal parts together to fool them, thinking it was a ridiculous hoax. But here's what happened. It was real. This incredible creature, the platypus, was not a myth at all. It was just an animal nobody outside its home in Australia had ever seen before. For thousands of years, humans have explored boov, sailed across oceans and climbed mountains. And as we discovered new places, we found new animals. Many times, the first descriptions of these creatures would travel slowly across the globe. People who heard about them in far-off lands might think the stories were wild exaggerations or pure fantasy. It's a bit like if your friend tells you about a really wild dream they had, and you can barely believe it happened, but then they show you proof. The platypus, in a way, was that wild dream come to life. This can help you understand something important. Our world is full of wonders we haven't even imagined yet, things waiting to be discovered. Science is always learning, always finding new things What we think we know today might totally change tomorrow. So, the next time you hear about something truly unbelievable, maybe, just maybe, keep a small part of your mind open, because sometimes the most magical creatures are just waiting to be discovered, living quietly, showing us that the unknown is still vast and full of surprises. And that's why it matters. The line between myth and reality can sometimes be much thinner than we think. When people just know things, have you ever just known something? Not because someone told you or you saw it happen, but a feeling deep inside, like a whisper in your mind. It's a strange phenomenon. Sometimes our brains seem to pick up on signals we don't even realize are there. It's often called intuition or a gut feeling. It's that moment when you just have a strong sense about something, even without a clear reason. You might feel a situation is wrong, or that a certain path is the right one, before any facts come out. It's like a quiet knowing, a feeling that shows up without needing to prove itself first. For centuries, people have wondered about this. Ancient thinkers, like some Greek philosophers, talked about a kind of inner wisdom, a connection to a deeper truth beyond what we can touch or see. They thought maybe our minds could sense things the usual five senses couldn't. It's also in many old stories and proverbs, where people trust their heart or their first impression. It's a very old human experience, this feeling of just knowing. Think about a time you were walking home from school. Suddenly, you felt a strong, unexplained urge to take a different street. Maybe later you heard there was something blocking your usual path. Or perhaps you're talking to a friend, and before they even say it, you just know they're upset about something. It's like your mind picks up tiny clues, their body language, a subtle change in their voice too fast for you to consciously notice, but your gut instantly puts it together. This quiet knowing reminds us that our minds are vast and mysterious. It suggests there's more to understanding the world than just facts and figures. Sometimes it's about listening to that inner voice, that gentle nudge from a place within us we don't fully understand. It makes you wonder, what other ways do we connect with the world, and with each other, beyond what we can easily explain? It's a beautiful thought, that we might carry these quiet ways of knowing, connecting us to something deeper. The ship stuck in the ice. Have you ever felt truly stuck, unable to move, no matter what you try? Imagine that feeling, but on a massive scale. Picture a giant ship, not just caught in traffic, but frozen solid in a world of ice. For centuries, brave explorers pushed into unknown places, chasing maps and dreams. But sometimes, the ice itself became the boss. These huge ships, built to handle wild oceans, would suddenly get trapped, often for years, even forever. It's a wild thought, isn't it? That something so strong could be made completely helpless by something as quiet and cold as ice. One famous example is the ship Endurance, led by Ernest Shackleton. Their ship got absolutely trapped in the ice near Antarctica. Not for days, but for over a year. The ice slowly crushed it. Think about that. You plan everything, you get ready, you have all your tools and your team, but the world just stops you. It's like when you're working on a big school project, and your computer suddenly freezes. You've done everything right, but you're stuck. You can't save your work, can't move on. That frustration, that helpless feeling, is what those sailors faced. For them, it was about life and death, surrounded by endless white dot. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, about our own plans, our own paths. We move through life thinking we're in charge, making our choices, but sometimes there are forces so much bigger, so much more powerful, that simply stop us cold. It's not about being weak or making a mistake. It's about remembering that the world has its own ways, its own huge spaces. And sometimes its biggest lesson is just stillness, a quiet moment where all you can do is wait. Maybe then you truly see what's around you. It reminds us how small we are, but also how tough we can be, even when life feels completely frozen. The place that makes you feel weird. Have you ever walked into a room, or stood in a certain spot, and just felt weird? Not scared, not excited, but just like something was a little off. A strange feeling, a whisper that tells your brain, hey, something here isn't quite right. This isn't about ghosts or monsters. It's about places that mess with your senses, making your mind work harder to figure out what's real. Maybe the air feels different, or sounds echo oddly, making the space feel bigger or smaller than it is. It's like your brain expects one thing, but the place gives it another. For a long time, people have told stories about spots like this. Ancient cultures built temples in places that made them feel a deep connection to something powerful, beyond words. Maybe it was the light, or how sound traveled, or just a feeling of quiet energy. They didn't have scientific explanations. They just felt these things, sometimes building whole beliefs around them. It shows how humans have always searched for meaning in mysterious feelings. Think about this. Have you ever looked at an optical illusion, the ones where lines seem to bend, or a shape changes right before your eyes? You know it's just paper and ink, but your brain argues with itself. It's trying to make sense of something that doesn't quite fit the rules it knows. That's a bit like these places. Your brain tries to put together the puzzle, but a few pieces are missing, or they're shaped wrong. So, here's the thing. Maybe these places don't break science's rules. Maybe they just show us how amazing and tricky our own brains are. They remind us that what we feel, see, and hear, it's all filtered through us. And sometimes, the unknown can feel like a quiet hum, a gentle nudge, reminding us that the world, and our place in it, holds more mysteries than we can ever fully explain. And that's okay. The mystery of the blue blobs. Have you ever looked at something ordinary, like a familiar road, and suddenly noticed something totally new and strange, something that shouldn't be there? That feeling of wonder, mixed with puzzlement, is exactly what scientists felt with the blue blobs. Imagine looking into the deepest parts of space, far beyond our sun and planets. You see stars, galaxies. Then, picture finding something totally different. Not a star, not a planet, not even a normal gas cloud. Instead, huge, glowing patches of blue light, just floating. We call them blue blobs. We don't know what else to call them. They look like cosmic question marks, defying what we thought we knew about space. For ages, humans looked at the night sky, trying to make sense of it. We mapped stars, we understood how planets moved. But then, something like these blue blobs appears. It reminds us that even with powerful telescopes, the universe holds amazing surprises. It's like you learned all the rules of a game, then a new piece appears that doesn't follow any of them. Think about solving a puzzle. You have pieces, fitting them together, building a picture, but then, you find a piece that's a different color, a different shape. It just doesn't belong in your picture. It's not wrong, just different. These blue blobs are like that puzzle piece in the grand cosmic picture. They challenge us, not by being scary, but by simply existing outside what we understand. And that's okay. It's beautiful. The unknown isn't a wall we hit. It's a vast ocean waiting to be explored. These mysterious blue blobs remind us the universe is always bigger, more complex, and more wonderful than we can ever fully grasp. They whisper a gentle invitation. Keep looking, keep wondering, and never stop being curious about the silent, glowing mysteries that drift through the dark. Sounds that make buildings shake. Have you ever felt a deep rumble, maybe from a passing truck or a faraway train, that makes the windows vibrate just a little? Now, imagine a sound like that, but much bigger. A sound so powerful it seems to come from nowhere, yet it makes entire buildings shake. Not a tremor from an earthquake, and not a sonic boom from an airplane, but something else entirely. For hundreds of years, people globally have reported hearing these strange, unexplained booms. Sailors far out at sea described loud cannon-like noises, even when no ships were nearby. They called them barisal guns, named after a place in Bangladesh. On land, similar deep thumps or vibrating roars make houses tremble and dishes rattle. Sometimes these sounds are called skyquakes because they seem to come from above, like thunder, but without any storm clouds. Science has offered some ideas, like distant storms or meteors burning up, or even the earth shifting. But here's the thing, many of these sounds remain a complete mystery. There's no clear source. It's a bit like when you're listening to music with really strong bass, and you can feel the beat vibrating through the floor, even through your chest. Now, imagine that feeling, but there's no music, no speaker, just the air itself humming with invisible power. This silent, unseen force can make us pause and wonder. It reminds us how much is still unknown in our vast world. Sometimes, the earth seems to whisper secrets, or perhaps even shout them, in ways we don't yet fully understand. These sounds are a gentle nudge, a deep echo, telling us that wonder lies in the unexplained, urging us to simply listen, and to feel the vastness of everything around us. The old map that never lies. What if a very old drawing, a map sketched long, long ago, showed something that couldn't possibly be there? Imagine holding a piece of history in your hands, a map carefully drawn by someone centuries ago. We usually trust maps to guide us, to show us where things are, where lands lie, where oceans stretch. They tell a story of the world as it was known then. But sometimes, these ancient maps whisper a different, stranger story. Here's the thing. Some maps, from hundreds of years ago, seem to show coastlines and continents that weren't officially discovered until much, much later. We're talking about places like Antarctica, or specific mountain ranges that explorers wouldn't chart for centuries. It's like someone in the 1500s somehow knew what the world looked like in the 1800s. How could they know? Who drew these maps? And where did their knowledge come from? This isn't just a little mistake. It's a huge, puzzling truth that shakes what we thought we knew about history and exploration. Think of it this way. Imagine you have a very old family photo from when your grandparents were kids, and in the background, clear as day, is a brand new car model that won't even be invented for another 50 years. The photo is real. It's there. It doesn't lie. But what it shows just doesn't make sense with everything else you know about that time. That's the feeling these maps give us. They are historical objects, seemingly true, yet their truth contradicts our timeline of discovery. It makes us pause and wonder, doesn't it? It's a soft reminder that the world holds many more secrets than we might ever fully grasp. It tells us to stay curious, to question, and to be humble about how much we truly understand about the long journey of human knowledge. The map doesn't lie, but its truth stretches our minds. Things that feel like they're watching. Have you ever been completely alone? Maybe in your room at night, or walking down a quiet street, and then, suddenly, you get that strange, clear feeling, like you're being watched. Not a sound, not a shadow, just this strong sense. It's a peculiar thing, isn't it? This isn't about actual eyes on you. It's deeper. It's an ancient, almost gut feeling that something unseen knows you're there. Our ancestors felt this in the deep woods, a subtle warning. Even now, it pops up, a quiet whisper. For centuries, people have talked about this. Some call it a sixth sense, an intuition beyond normal senses. Philosophers wondered if it's our brain playing tricks, or if there's something more, a hidden connection to the world. It makes you think about what's truly real. Think about being in a crowded hallway. You suddenly feel someone staring at the back of your head. You turn, and sure enough, they are looking. How did you know? Your ears didn't hear them. Your eyes didn't see them. Our bodies, like an animal sensing a storm, pick up things we don't consciously notice. Science tries to explain it. Maybe our brains register tiny movements we don't consciously see, or perhaps our minds look for patterns, making us feel a presence that isn't truly there. But here's the thing, even with explanations, that raw feeling can still appear. It shows how much mystery lies within our own minds. So, what is it? Just imagination, or an echo? Perhaps it's a reminder of how tuned in we are to our surroundings, or how much we don't know about the human mind. This feeling, while sometimes eerie, sparks wonder. It asks us to consider hidden layers of existence, and how deeply we are connected to everything, even the unseen. It's a moment to pause and simply feel the mystery. The light that changes colors. What if the light you see, right around you, decided to change its own colors? Not from a prism or a filter, but on its own, for reasons unknown. Imagine a soft glow, shifting from a calm, deep blue to vibrant gold, then fading to a whisper of violet. We understand light from the sun, from lamps, how it breaks into rainbows. But here, we're talking about something science can't grasp. It's light changing, its hue, its nature, without anything touching it, without clear reason. It's like the air itself is breathing color, a silent dance only it understands. People throughout history have watched for unexplainable lights. Ancient stargazers charted strange glows, sometimes believing them messages from spirits or signs from gods. They felt deep awe and fear. This need to find meaning, to tell a story about the unknown, is very human. We want to make sense of these beautiful oddities. Think about a song you love. You've heard it countless times. But one day, after something important happens, you hear that same song, and suddenly, it feels different. Its color has changed. It might sound hopeful, or deeply sad, even though the notes are the same. The song didn't change, your feeling about it did. Now, imagine if the light itself did that, changing its mood without your feelings causing it, simply existing in a shifting way. The idea of light that changes colors reminds us how much we still don't know about our universe. Some wonders might simply be existing beyond our need to explain, and maybe that's okay. Perhaps true beauty isn't something we can solve, but something we simply feel. It's a quiet invitation to keep wondering, to keep looking, to keep feeling the awe. What if we all dreamed together? What if, when you closed your eyes at night, your dream wasn't just yours? What if, in that shadowy space between waking and sleeping, we all met, just for a moment? This isn't about everyone seeing the same exact movie in their head. It's more about a quiet connection. Imagine a giant, invisible library of feelings and ideas. When we dream, maybe we're all borrowing books from the same shelves. We each read our own story, but the themes, the feelings, the symbols might come from a shared place. For thousands of years, people have wondered about this. Ancient cultures, long before science, believed dreams were messages from gods or ancestors. They saw patterns, symbols that appeared in many different people's dreams. Across different lands, some thought we all dipped into a big, universal mind. A famous psychologist, Carl Jung, called this the collective unconscious. It's like a deep, shared memory, a storybook inside all of us. Think about it this way. Have you ever noticed how sometimes a new trend just pops up? Like suddenly, everyone's wearing a certain type of shoe, or singing a new song, or talking about the same idea. No one planned it together, but it just happens. It's like an idea that's just in the air. What if dreams are like that? A feeling, a symbol, a tiny spark of an idea, just floating around, and our sleeping minds pick up on it at the same time. So, when you dream of flying, or falling, or being lost in a maze, perhaps you're not alone. Maybe countless others, both now and from long ago, have shared those same deep, wordless feelings in their own slumber. It's a comforting thought, isn't it? That even in our most private moments, like dreams, we might still be woven into a much larger tapestry of human experience. It makes the world feel a little more connected, a little more mysterious, and a lot more wonderful. The object that never rusts. Have you ever really thought about how almost everything around us slowly changes? Your favorite old shirt wears thin. Pages of a beloved book yellow with time. A sturdy garden fence gets soft with rot. Even a shiny metal bike starts to rust if left out. But what if there was something, an object, a unique substance that simply didn't? What if it could exist for centuries, even thousands of years, looking exactly as it did the day it was made, untouched by the world? This isn't just a story idea. It's a strange concept that has whispered through human history, sparking wonder. Think of it. Most materials on Earth are in a constant, quiet battle with time itself. Air, water, even sunlight, all work slowly to break them down. Iron rusts, wood rots, plastic cracks. Yet, history holds hints, old tales, and strange findings of things that seem to defy this natural process. Ancient cultures, like the Egyptians, put incredible effort into trying to create things that would last forever. They built enormous pyramids from massive stones, hoping they'd stand for eternity. They covered precious objects in pure gold, a metal known for not tarnishing, believing it could preserve spirits. People have always dreamed of something that escapes the slow, inevitable decay of the world, something truly changeless. It's a bit like thinking about a perfect, clear memory. You know how some memories fade, becoming blurry or disappearing over time, like old photographs. But then there are those few, truly important ones, that stay perfectly bright. No matter how many years pass, they don't get dull or wear out. An object that never rusts is like that perfect memory, a solid, unchanging point in a world that's always moving, always transforming. And that's the deep thought here. In a world where even tall mountains are slowly worn down by endless wind and rain, what does it truly mean to imagine something that stands completely still, untouched by time? It makes you wonder about the unique beauty of things that do change, the real value in growth and renewal. Perhaps it's in the quiet act of decay that new life can begin, allowing forests to grow. Maybe the very nature of things being temporary makes our present moments, our experiences, our connections, all the more precious, like a perfect, fleeting sunset. A bridge to another place. Have you ever felt a sudden pull, a whisper from somewhere else, like a thin curtain lifting? It's a feeling that maybe there's more to our world than what we simply see. Sometimes, in the strangest moments, we sense a connection beyond what we can touch or explain. This another place isn't always a physical spot. It can be a deep memory, a dream that feels too real, or a feeling of being linked to something much larger than yourself. It's a subtle hint that our understanding of reality might just be scratching the surface. It's a sense of mystery, a quiet knowing that a piece of us has stepped onto a path leading elsewhere. Humans have always wondered about these hidden connections. For centuries, people told stories about doorways between worlds. They spoke of moments when the veil felt thin. Ancient myths often showed heroes crossing into other realms. Philosophers, too, asked if our minds create all we see, or if there's a deeper truth we all share. We seem to be always looking for signs, for proof that what we experience isn't all there is. It's about finding meaning in the spaces between the known. Think about listening to a song. A specific line or melody might hit you so hard it talks directly to your soul. It connects you to a feeling you didn't even know you had. Or maybe you're outside, and for a split second, you feel completely one with everything. The trees, the sky, the air. It's not just seeing, it's feeling a deep connection, like a quiet echo reaching out. That feeling can be a tiny bridge, showing you a glimpse of something vast and beautiful, just beyond your usual grasp. So, these strange moments, these unexpected feelings, they might be more than just random thoughts. They could be gentle invitations. There might be little bridges, built not with wood or stone, but with wonder and curiosity. They can lead us to explore the deeper mysteries of our own minds and the universe itself. It reminds us that sometimes the most profound truths aren't shouted, they're whispered, in those quiet, unexplained moments that make us pause and simply wonder. What if these feelings are guiding us, softly, to see the world with new eyes? The echo that never fades. Have you ever felt like a moment, a sound, or even a feeling just stays with you, long after it's gone, like a whisper in the quiet, or the scent of rain after the storm? It's a strange thing, this lingering. Sometimes, the universe itself seems to hold onto these echoes, events or mysteries that leave a mark so deep, we can still sense them, but can't quite explain why. Think about places that feel old, not just because of the buildings, but because of the history humming around them. People for thousands of years have felt this, from ancient storytellers who spoke of spirits in old woods, to philosophers who wondered if memories truly ever vanish. We've always been curious about what lingers. It's like when you hear a really old song for the first time, and even though it's from another century, it just feels right, like it knows something deep inside you. You can't touch that feeling, or put it in a box, but it's there, an echo from the past. Here's the thing, our world is full of these echoes, not just in history books or old songs, but sometimes in actual unexplained events. Imagine a weird sound heard by many people, but no source is ever found, or a strange light in the sky that disappears as quickly as it came, leaving behind only questions in the minds of those who saw it. These aren't just moments that happened, they're moments that stay. They stick in our minds, making us wonder. It's a reminder that not everything needs a neat answer. Some things simply exist as persistent echoes, whispers from the unknown. They invite us to listen, to feel, and to quietly reflect on the vastness of what we don't yet understand. And maybe that quiet wonder is its own kind of answer.